this is the Big Friendly Swim Podcast, and I'm the Big Friendly host. And today's guest is going to be a junior or
Rising
senior,
senior.
going to be a rising senior at University of Alabama. Kailyn Winter, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Is that how I pronounce your name?
Kylan, yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm doing good. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
What initially was the deciding factor for you about University of Alabama? Like, how long was that decision process, and then what was the moment where you're like, "This is the school I want to go to"?
Yeah, so just a little background. My class, the class of 2021 out of high school, I think it was pretty much the first class that they started the early recruiting. So like you can start recruiting like once you're finished with your sophomore year in high school. So I was recruited like I started recruiting the summer after my sophomore year, and like I was the first class to do that, I believe. And so it was kind of an interesting process because most schools hadn't started that recruiting yet, and like um it was it's kind of like a hard thing like when you're 15 years old or 16 or however old you are, like, and suddenly it's like, oh man, like the college coaches are calling, like there's definitely like a lot of pressure, but I feel like I was someone who really took my time with it. I didn't end up committing until like April of my junior year, which also kind of coincided with like the start of the pandemic. So that was like April 2020 was when I committed to Alabama. And to go back to like the biggest like deciding factor for me was I just felt like Alabama, not only like athletically, but also like academically and personally, was going to be a place where I could grow. Like, so when I was recruiting, I was really looking for a program that would not only like support me just like with like the friendships that I would be able to make on the team. Like that was a really important part to me, but just also like the relationships that I could create within like the program, like with coaches or staff or professors. Also, like Alabama was a big school. It was a really hard decision for me, but ultimately I'm really happy with it. And yeah, like I just felt really connected to the team. And I just felt like with all the resources that we have at Alabama, that was going to be the place for me if I really wanted to see what I could do with swimming. And I felt like that was the place to go.
Now, you talked about the pandemic and how you made that commitment decision, like when the pandemic hit, or just like around the same time. How did it affect your swimming, and like what changes did you need to make on like a personal level or on an athletic level to navigate that landscape that just was rapidly changing?
The pandemic was so difficult. I mean, sure, it was difficult for everyone else too, but like being in California, I feel like the restrictions and lockdowns were a lot stricter. Uh, so like with swimming, like we weren't able to swim for I think like 3 to 4 months or so after the pandemic or during the pandemic. Because let's see, it shut down like March, and
I
then
think it
that
was
was
June 15th was the day. I don't know if it was statewide, but at
yeah,
least in the Bay Area, I think it was June 15th was the day that everything opened up again. Or like
yeah,
started to open up at least.
yes, that's right. So I mean, that's a big chunk of
Yeah,
time.
that's 3 months.
Yeah. So like, being homeschooling, just not really, like you weren't sure of what was going to happen. And I think for me, like just staying motivated and I think that stretch through the pandemic at that point was really kind of the deciding factor of me, like for me, of like, hey, like either I'm going to be in this and really commit to training and doing other things outside the pool and just try to stay like mentally locked in because I into swimming, or or it's just going to be, it's going to be really hard to get back into it. And like just stay motivated with it. Oh, another thing that I did a lot during the pandemic was I was prone paddling. And this is actually pretty funny because pretty quickly after I started prone paddling, me and one of my teammates were going together and like um, we would go out and paddle a few miles. And like we would be outside of like our, kind of kelp bed area. Uh, Sorry, I should back up.
No, you're good. I'm all for the fun tangents. Like, feel free.
Okay. Um, so like where I live is in Santa Cruz, and
Yeah,
Santa Cruz is like a very big like ocean
a
community.
lot of
And
water
so,
there.
oh yeah, ton of water, lots of surfing, paddling, junior guards growing up. And so like I think during the pandemic, just to stay in shape also, but also just, to stay connected to the water, we really started going to the ocean a lot. And that was, me, my family, my teammates. And one thing that I did with like a couple of my teammates was like, start prone paddling. And so me and one of my good friends and teammates at the time, we we were paddling a lot together and just, having fun with it. It was great cross training for swimming, and like just being out in the water is super fun. But anyways, this was end of March. We were out for a paddle, and it was kind of like I think it was probably around 6 p.m. So, the sun's starting to get a little bit lower in the sky. There was a lot of wind on the water at that point. And so we were going towards the beach that we'd come from. And I'm ahead of him at this point. And then all of a sudden, I hear him like freaking out and like screaming. And I turn around and I see him like crawling back on his board.
What happened?
So I was not sure what happened. So I like just kind of, I'm like, hey, okay, let's go in. Like I point to shore and like start paddling in. And like I just get this feeling that like, something's like totally wrong. And once we get in, he's like, oh my gosh. I just punched a shark in the face. I just got bit by a shark. I'm like, you're kidding me. And I look over at the back of his board, and there's this giant bite out of it. Like
He just punched a shark in the face.
yeah, so what happened was the shark came up, bit his board, knocked him off. He's in the water and he's like, what's going on? And he crawls back on the board and he sees the shark like circling back towards him. And he's like, oh man. And he just punches the thing.
That's like pure instinct just kicking in.
I know. It's crazy. And like, like it's insane. Like it was so crazy that happened. And, like, oh my gosh. Like after the shark attack, it was like, whoa, this crazy thing happened. Like, we can't swim. Now we've got, like, we just had a shark attack. Like, what's going on? It was just such an insane time. And, yeah, I mean, like, our area is known for being pretty sharky, quote unquote, but it wasn't really something that I was ever expecting to happen or deal with. But no, it was really an insane time.
Punching a shark is the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. I know, and I've seen them before, like out on the water, and like
Yeah.
it's when you see it, like your legs like just turn to jello. Like it's just so like unnerving, and just I don't know, like that flight or flight instinct definitely kicks in, and I feel like I'm more of a flight type of person, and I guess he's the fight.
The funniest part is the shark was probably more curious than anything.
Yeah,
It just
exactly.
was like, what is this? I'm gonna take a bite out of it, and just scared him to
Yeah,
death.
literally. It was insane. But yeah, luckily he was not harmed at all.
That's
He was
good.
completely fine, just a little bit shaken up mentally. So
Yeah. I like my COVID stories are way more boring. I would just ride my bike around Livermore because we have a lot of like bike trails and horse
Yeah.
trails, and so there's plenty of places to go on walks and do all that. And I would just watch swimming videos constantly because I
Really?
would just miss being in the water. And then like a month in, I like one of our basically my uncle, like they're family friends, but they're my uncle. Was like, "Do you want to come swim in our backyard?" And it was like their backyard is like I'm a big person like
Yeah.
um
Really some podcast.
yeah. So it would take me about five strokes at most of freestyle to get to the other side from like the longest end of the pool. But I would be in there for hours because they literally told me they're like, just come through the side gate, text us when you're coming, and
Yeah.
just go for as long as you want. So I would be in there for hours and
Yeah.
just like sit in the water. I was like a fish.
No, it's therapeutic
Yeah,
just being in the water and like when you have that connection to it, it's just like, it's your sanctuary.
yeah. I literally would just sit in there and just kind of like wave my hands back and forth and just be like chilling.
Just school and just being in
Yeah,
the water. That's
I
all.
like. I mean, I have COVID ended up working out very well for me
Mhm.
because I mean, I started this podcast because of COVID. Like it was one thing led to another, and this got started because of COVID. But I also like so community colleges in California, which I think near Santa Cruz is Cabrillo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cabrillo.
They only get 2 years
Mhm.
of sports eligibility of any sport.
Yeah.
So my coaches fought really, really hard for us to get back in the water. So we actually got the most time in the water out of any of the community colleges in California, more than like some Division 1 colleges in California. And like we got some of the most time to be in the water.
Mhm.
And our 2020 season didn't count. Our 2021 season started late and ended late, but we got to compete against whatever schools we wanted, however often we wanted, and it would not count towards our eligibility.
That's awesome.
I know. It was
It's like
amazing.
really nice.
Literally, it was amazing. So my freshman season wasn't technically until 2022.
Oh my gosh.
So I ended up getting 4 years out of what should have been a 2-year program.
Hey, you doubled it. That's
Yeah.
great. No, that's so
Like
awesome.
I literally had transferred to Cal State East Bay,
Mhm.
and I was still swimming on the team in my off time.
That's so cool though. That's
Oh
like
yeah,
that's so fortunate.
I was so lucky. Like I can forever say that I was like the longest running member of the team. Like
So
I
cool.
think there was one other person my fourth year who was there the first year, but
Yeah.
I could say that I was there every year for 4 years.
No, that's so great. Oh man, that's just awesome. That's like the ultimate like
Oh
COVID
yeah.
fifth year.
I
Like
mean, my coach still like is a huge advocate for me. Like he
yeah.
took me to community college state championships with them my last year as like
Mhm.
just a general helper and like technically a relay alternate. Like if somebody got
Yeah.
sick, I would have had to step in on a relay, which would have sunk the relay greatly. Um, but he also fought with like the organizers of the meet and got me to be able to commentate live. So like there's a
No
YouTube
way.
stream out there of me commentating live over the men's mile at that meet.
Oh, I bet that was the most fun
I'll
mile.
I'll send it to you. It's a lot of fun.
I
um,
really should. That'd be great.
and then
That's
now
what
he's
we need.
yeah,
Like
like
we
you.
need,
It was so much fun.
yeah.
And now he's put my name in to commentate or to announce for state championships next year, which
Oh
I would
really?
get paid for, and they'd set me up in a hotel.
Oh no,
So
that's
like,
what you can do. Is that gonna be like in Clovis?
does he mean Santa Rosa?
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, that's high school state championships are in Clovis.
Oh, right, right, right. Sorry. I
No, no,
missed
you're
it.
good.
They're
I
both
mixed them
top.
up. Yeah. So now that you've competed at 2 Olympic trials,
Yeah.
and in 2021 it was obviously a little bit different because they did the whole wave 1, wave 2 thing. What's been your takeaway from each one, and like how did they compare? And then where were you at mentally through each meet?
Yeah, so just the takeaway from each one, I'd say is a little bit different. Um, like my first one, obviously, like with the COVID restrictions, it was much different than every other sort of Olympic trials, and just the structure, and not only the structure, but just the amount of fans, just the whole atmosphere was different. Um,
That's true. Did they allow fans in Omaha?
They did, but it was like severely limited. Like the stands were like empty, pretty much. Like they're just like sections where there was just no people.
Yeah. You
And
just got
so
those like five people who are like, yeah!
yeah, and like I look up and there's my parents. No, it was like really quite like a night and day experience, like looking at the stands in Omaha versus like seeing Indy like full of, what was it, like 23,000 people.
Yeah.
That was crazy. So definitely, just like the environment itself was a lot more energetic in Indy. But like being so I was wave one for my first trials, and um it was really cool because I got to have like a second swim and do like have like the full like finals
Yeah.
experience, and just doing that in itself is really cool, especially like when you're someone who's maybe like kind of like that second half of the group who probably wouldn't make finals initially, but just to have that finals experience I thought was just so cool. Um but yeah, no, and like um I feel like just going to Indy, I was a lot more just mature in the way that I was able to handle things. I swam another event. My first time going, I had only the 50, but coming back,
Which
I
I think
had,
you qualified by like 100th, right?
yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. It was, um, or actually, no, I think I qualified for the 50. Maybe I think it
Because
was
it,
close to this
cause it
time.
was
'Cause
25:78 was the time that you swam to qualify,
yeah,
is what it
I think
said.
it used to be like 25:09.
It might, yeah, actually, it might have been 25:09. I think now it became 25:79.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
got like pretty fast,
yeah.
pretty significantly faster.
Oh, yeah. No, they jumped it down. Like
Yeah.
they definitely took a chunk off there. So yeah, just like the meet changes and evolves every 4 years. It's obviously, a lot more competitive each year, just with like them lowering the times. And also like the times to make it back are significantly faster, or were significantly faster this year, which was also cool to see, just swimming is getting
The
faster.
men's 100 free having six people under 48 was
I know.
insane to me.
That's so cool. Like
Like,
just yeah,
stupidly fast.
I know. And like just, the amount of like young people there too, and like going those crazy times is just, it's so cool, and like I'm just so excited for like the future of not only our sport but just like USA swimming as a whole. Is like it's going to be we're going to be really tough to beat, I feel
It
like.
felt like every day at the meet there was like some big story of somebody who jumped up from like 70th place to like making a semifinal or making a final. Like Audrey Derivo making the 400 IM final. Like me and a friend of mine in the
Oh,
media zone were watching it, and we like saw her go that time, and we're like, okay, now this person went that much faster. And we try to do the math
yeah.
to figure out if she had made the final. Like that was
Oh
an
my.
insane swim.
Oh, it's so cool. And also, like, you have like Gabrielle Rose, who's
Yeah,
46 years
yeah,
old, and made the semifinal in the
yeah.
100 breaststroke.
She got 10th in the 100 too.
Yeah,
Like she got 10th in the country going against people who were less than half her age.
I know. Isn't that insane?
I was rooting for her so hard to make the final. It
Oh
would
my
have been
God.
so cool.
That would have been so awesome. That she just like, and she was super nice. Like, I talked to her a little bit in the warm up pool, and like, it's just like so cool to see that, like, I feel like a lot of people kind of like end their careers either after college or continue on as pro if you're not, you're that like really elite level. But just to like have people, who are older, uh, like come back and
Like, she
swim
has
again.
kids.
Yeah, she has
She
kids.
has kids who are probably, like, around our age.
I know. That's so cool. And then there's also a 37-year-old at the meet, and like there's just so many like different people, and like different stages of their lives, and like they're able to come together and like compete at a high
Yeah.
level. That's awesome.
Like, we got to talk to Matt Grievers, who's
Wow.
39, and I didn't even realize this, he's been at every Olympic trials this century. He
That's
competed in
insane.
2000 at Olympic trials.
Oh my
I think
gosh.
we're gonna see a lot more people like a Matt Grievers or
Yeah.
like Nathan Adrian or all these like former big stars for the U.S.
Mhm.
just come back and swim like just for fun, like
Yeah.
just to experience it and just to have fun and enjoy themselves.
Exactly. Because just the experience itself is just so cool. And it's just such a unique thing to be able to, just have done in your life. And just really grateful for it. And yeah, no, it's just so cool to like just see how the longevity of swimming for people has
Yeah.
increased.
I mean, there's a guy that I personally know who was swimming at the meet. His name is Brandon Fisher.
Yeah.
He works a full-time job at the Livermore lab. Like, works 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
And he still got, I think, like 20th in the 200 breaststroke. He's 35.
Oh my gosh.
He's one of the oldest. I need to look up the actual list, but he's like, I think, one of the oldest to break a minute in the 100 breaststroke because he broke it when he was 31.
That's
Yeah,
so cool.
it was
That's so
insane.
Oh my gosh. That's just so cool just thinking about, like for me, I think one thing that kind of makes me nervous, especially going into my senior year, is like, is this going to be it? Is this going to be, like my last year of swimming? It's like I genuinely really love it. And like um just I'd love to keep doing it. Like obviously, I want to pursue my career, and I don't think that like I'm going to be on, like the pro side to which like I could continue swimming as my job. I don't really think that that's going to be very foreseeable for me. But just to be able to continue to do it and like experience other things in life too is
Which
just
is
something.
nice to know now. Nice to see people now
Yeah,
who are doing that and showing that it's possible to have a life outside of swimming and still
exactly.
be successful and still have goals that you can attain.
Exactly. I think that's like one of my biggest goals is just to, yeah, like just to continue to compete because I love competing and
Yeah.
like, yeah, just have like those other things outside of swimming.
You know, when I like my third and fourth years on the Las Positas team, I kind of was able to swim with this level of freedom
Yeah.
of like I wasn't supposed to have these 2 extra years.
Mhm.
Like it was never supposed to happen. Like in an alternate universe somewhere, I was done in 2021 and that was it.
Yeah.
So it gave me that extra level of freedom to swim and just enjoy myself. And this is a separate tangent, but
Mhm.
I lost the mile at our conference champs. I lost my heat of the mile by a combined 19/100ths of a second twice.
Oh my gosh.
So the first time was I was like a body length ahead of one of my teammates for the whole
Yeah.
race, and like 200 yards to go, he starts gaining on me. Like he starts outsplitting me by like a quarter of a second. Just
Oh
every
no.
single 50 getting a little bit closer until we flip for with like a 75 left, and I realize he's right next to me. And like even like with 5 yards to go, like at the flags of the last lap, I was ahead of him, and then he beat me by 6/100ths of a second,
Oh my gosh.
which I dropped like 45 seconds. So I can't be mad.
That's so hard. Oh,
Yeah, but going
yeah.
back to like talking about like Grievers and Brandon Fisher and Gabby Rose, this guy was 32. Yeah. He swam on the very first edition of the team in 2012
Oh my gosh. What?
and went lifetime best as a father of two, 32 years old. He went lifetime best in the mile and the 200 butterfly.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So I mean, like, nobody I would be. There was nobody that I would be happier to lose to like that.
Yeah.
But like,
That's
it was
awesome.
yeah. And then the next year, I lost it by 13/100ths to a different guy.
Oh, God. That's so close, though. That's
Yeah.
I mean, it must have been just such an exciting finish, though. Like,
Oh yeah. And like both guys that I finished with, like we were on, like there was no animosity at all.
yeah,
It was like we both just dropped a boatload of time. Like we can't really be mad about. I can't really be mad about the finish. But the
no,
second time it happened, I touched the wall and I just looked at my coach and I'm like, I don't know, man.
like, like I really don't think that you can ask for much better than like a 45-second drop.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. That's
But
so
like to lose 3,200 yards of racing
cool.
by less than 0.2 of a second, that's always gonna haunt me a little bit.
I don't blame you for that. That would definitely haunt me a little bit too. But it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. We all have that, like, oh, it's just so close.
Yeah.
Just the fingertip, like, experience. Or
Like I probably like cut my nails that day and like that would have been the difference.
Oh my gosh. I know. Just that one, like, eensy vincy little thing would have done it. It's okay though.
So while I was doing research for this interview, I was like looking at like, because I do like deep dives on people.
Yeah.
I mean, I like, to put it in a funny way, like I am stalking people nicely, in that I'm like, what are some cool things this person has done that we can talk about?
Oh.
And I
Awesome.
was looking at results from NCAA's your freshman year, and I saw that you guys got second in the 200 free relay, and you split a time that was probably at the time about like a second and a half faster than your best 50 free. Because I think you split 21-4. So what did it mean for you to come into your freshman season and go not only the second fastest time in the country, but like how did that fuel you in the upcoming years to like be like, okay, I can do more now?
Oh my gosh. Like freshman year was insane. Like, not to put any other year down, but like that was like just going into that meet and like, like getting second in the 200 free relay. But then we got fourth in the meet. Like Alabama placed fourth.
Oh yeah. Was that the year that Kenzie won 2 titles too? I think it was the year later.
Yeah, Kenzie won 2 titles the year later. But like it was like she still did great at that meet. She scored us a lot of points.
She probably had Ryan White get top 3 in backstroke.
Yeah, we had Ryan White. We had a bunch of other players too that were, like putting out school records.
Yeah.
Like, it was crazy. We had one girl like break the school record in the morning, and then a different girl break it in finals that night. Like
a different person in the same event.
In the same event, like they both made it to finals. One broke.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, and then the other went just like a little bit faster than her at night. It was insane. It was just so cool, like just to watch and like, be around that energy. And like, I think that really kind of sparked, like lit a fire under me. And like, being at that meet and, just seeing these people who I grew up hearing about, like, oh my gosh, like there's the Walsh sisters, like literally right
like
next
Reagan.
to us.
I think Reagan Smith was at that meet too. Like all these big names.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so like, when it came to swim, that was the only thing that I was swimming there. I was just swimming the 2 free relay. Like I was so nervous leading up to that. Like I had to do a suited swim just to kind of like get my jitters out.
Yeah.
And so getting into that, I was like, okay, we're gonna go. Like walking out there, I just remember like thinking like, okay, like, this is like my party. This is what I'm so excited about. And like, this is just the end of the year and just all of like the celebration is right now. And like walking out, they had these sparklers that were going on the sides of us. It was insane. And then like, I remember getting up on the blocks and I was like, okay, we're just going to send it. Like, we're just going to do everything I can and make this as close as possible. And so I went. I actually had a 0.000 reaction time. So
It's like right on the dot of like, because I think like negative 0.03 is like the margin of
yeah,
error where you get
exactly.
DQ'd if you go any faster than that.
Exactly. So it was like right there. Like that was probably, I think honestly I got out of the water and I was like, "Oh boy. Either this was a great swim or
Or we
I'm
DQ'd
so
everything.
sorry, guys."
I mean,
Yeah.
21-4 is a big time split. Like,
Thanks.
that's a big time split, like, in general. Like, I think not even, like, just for somebody who's, like, a freshman and, like, their first NCAAs. That's a big time split of, like, schools will fight for somebody who can split 21-4 on a relay.
Thanks. No, I was just stoked. I was just trying to, like swim as fast as those other girls on my team. Like they were going fast
I
too.
think you guys across the board were, like, 21-5 and under.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah.
a pretty formidable team of splits right there.
It was awesome. It was just like it was such a close race. Like I had gone third, and when I touched the wall, we were just ahead of Virginia. Like we were right
Yeah.
there. I think like I touched ahead of like the girl who was
I
going.
can look at the splits right now for you if you want.
Oh yeah, sure. Like it was so exciting, and it was like, oh my gosh, like we might get this. This is gonna be so close. And then I think it was like Gretchen
And then
Walsh.
Gretchen Walsh threw down a
Was like,
20.5.
yeah, then she flew it out of 25. And I was like, okay,
I mean,
maybe
the
not.
girl that you guys had go Cora split 21-1. Like, that's still
No,
a
she
phenomenal split. But
yeah,
20.5? The
yeah,
fact that she's now been 20.4 from a flat start,
yeah.
like, just,
It's insane. Or 19 off a relay.
yeah. 19 off a relay, 44 in the 100, like,
Oh my gosh, I know. It's like mind blowing.
it doesn't make any sense. Like, it's just not fair.
I know. It's like, oh my gosh, you're so fast. That's so awesome. It's like it's just so cool that someone can go that fast. And
Oh my
like
god.
just watching how swimming has evolved is just insane. Like
Swimflation is so real.
yeah, literally like swimflation is real.
I made like a reel about like in the men's 50 free at NCAA's
Yeah.
how like I think 18.6 was like 5th or 6th this year.
Yeah.
And how like 18.6 would have won pretty much every other year besides Caleb Jessel.
Yeah.
Like it would have won or gotten second every single other year.
It's nuts.
It's just stupid.
I know. It's like it's just so cool that like, people are able to find these like little ways just to get that much better. Like just little
Yeah.
either technique changes or I don't know, maybe suits are getting really
I mean, we thought like last year when Kate Douglas did what she did at NCAA is like when she went. I literally have the results like up in front of me. When she went 48.4 in the 100 fly, 148.3 in the 2 IM.
yeah.
Like we thought like that was gonna be like the pinnacle of like we're never gonna see something like this again.
Oh
And
my
then
God.
Gretchen Walsh was like, "Hold my goggles."
Yeah, she was like, hold on one second, guys. Let me go do something here.
47.4 in the 100 fly is like to win a 100 fly at that level with
Yeah.
Emma Stickling going 49.7, which is an
Yeah.
elite time in itself.
That
To
is
win a 100 fly at that level by 2.5 seconds is absurd.
oh my gosh, I know. Like it's insane. Like I remember watching that race and like I was just thinking, no way she's gonna do this. No way. Oh my gosh. And like she just like the way that she finished was like there was almost just like a minute of like in the pool deck.
Yeah.
Like just the shock.
Like the shocked silence, and then everybody just erupts.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like that minute where everyone was like holding their breath, like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen here? And then it just erupts, and it's
Yeah.
insane.
I mean, like, even Caleb Dressel, like, people thought his records would last a long time. And they have. I mean, like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
6-7 years is a long time.
Yeah. I don't think has.
I don't think we're gonna see somebody go 20 beat 20-37 in the 50 free
Yeah. Yeah.
for a while.
No.
Like,
I mean,
that's so fast. Except maybe Gretchen Walsh next year, but
literally.
I mean, if she drops the same amount of time as she did this year, she goes 19-9. From a flat start, she goes 19-9 if she drops another 4/10.
That's insane.
I think I would simply just pass away.
I think I would too.
I think I would just die. Like,
yeah, I don't even know.
because 19-9 not so long ago would earn you an invite to men's NCAAs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like 10 years ago, 19-9 would have gotten you in.
Oh my gosh. That's like, it's just so crazy. And like I think that, I genuinely think that we're like watching the coming of like the new like female Michael Phelps type. Like I think that this is something really special, that like of what she's able to accomplish and do.
And I'm glad she's finally like recognizing her talent in long course too.
Yeah.
Like 55-1 in the 100 fly. Like, to break a world record, alright, that's insane in itself. Yeah. To break a Sarah Schoistrom world record, who is arguably in the conversation for, like, best woman sprinter ever.
Yeah.
To break that kind of world record by 0.3 of a second is insane.
It is. It is. It's absolutely insane.
I was surprised by her 100 free. I thought she was going to go faster. I thought we were going to see a 52 low.
Yeah.
But she may just be more of a natural butterflyer than anything else.
She, like, especially, like, when she swims fly, it's just such a... She's just so long. And, like, it's insane to watch. It's just,
I mean, like, Reagan Smith went 55-6 and didn't make the team.
I know. That's
like,
so crazy.
She talked about it in the press conference, too. She was like, yeah, 100 fly was not on my radar. Like, I swam it just to have, like a swim to get me comfortable in the water before my main events. Would I have swam it if I made the team? Yeah. Was I overjoyed with my time? Yeah. But never will I be more happy to get a third-place finish than the two of the fastest times ever.
Oh my gosh, I know. That was honestly my favorite night of trials, just watching that.
It was so hard for me to, like, I wanted to, like, post a thing being, like, top 5 races from trials, and I'm like, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
Like, I could do top 5 from every night.
Yeah, top 5 from every night, easy. But, like, the whole thing, there's just so many, like, ups and downs to it. Like, there's just a lot of, like, shock factors, too, like, swimming. And, like, it was just so cool to watch and see these people who, you know, like, hadn't made a team before are all of a sudden, like, winning the event or getting second, you know, on that team. And then you have veterans who maybe didn't make it this time. But, yeah, especially watching, like, the men's, like, 100 free and 2 free. Like, that was so, like, exciting. Like, that was a really good run, too.
I will forever be, like, telling people, I'm like, I was rooting for Chris Giuliano before anybody had him on their radar.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you talked to him, right?
Yeah, because I interviewed him in January. And literally, the title of the video, I think, is like, Chris Giuliano is ready for Olympic trial, is ready to make the Olympic team this summer. Like,
He's ready.
Yeah! I have a comment that was like, damn, you were right. Like, I would get into arguments with my friends, not like heated arguments, but like spirited debates with my friends, where I'd be like, Chris Giuliano and Jack Alexi are beating Caleb Dressel in the 100 free at trials. Yeah. I would, like, I got texts from my friends after that event happened that were like, damn, you were right.
Oh my gosh, I know. That was insane. Like, it was just so cool to see, you know, like, honestly, I hadn't really heard of Chris Giuliano before trials. Like, obviously, I'd seen him, like, you know, do well at NCs.
Yeah. Like, he was on the world championship team last year, but he wasn't, like, a big name.
Yeah.
And then now, like, he's made 3 individual events.
Yeah, now...
Which, that wasn't on my radar. That was... I had him just in the 100.
That was so cool. I didn't... Like, yeah. I did not expect him to make that 3rd event. Like, I didn't see that 50,
yeah.
But...
Oh, I didn't expect him to make it in the 200. Like, he dropped 3.5 seconds. Dropping 3.5 seconds at that level is insane.
That's so crazy. That's
and,
so cool.
Like, from what I talked to him about it, he seems like he's still kind of figuring that event out.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Like, you went 145.3 and you're like, oh, you know, I'm still trying to figure out how to swim the event. Yeah. So I'm like, he's 100% the wild card this summer of, like, he could shock everyone and go, like, 143.
Oh, yeah, no, I think he will. Like, especially just after trials, like that's so much energy that he's coming off of. And, like, just
he wants it bad. Yeah. Like, he told me, like, after because he didn't make it out of prelims in the 100 free at Worlds last year.
Yeah.
And he told me, like, how much of a learning experience that was and how he never wanted that to happen again. So, like, he backed that up at NCAAs. He got, like, 2nd in the 100. And then, you know, winning 3 events at Olympic trials.
Yeah. That's a pretty crazy high to come off. That's so cool.
When we asked him in the press conference if he expected to go 145.3 in the 200, he was like, yeah. That was all he said. He was like, yeah, I did.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew it was going to happen.
Like,
that's so cool.
I, like, responded to his coach's story after his 100 free, or, like, the night before the 50 free, being like, oh my god, he's doing so good, like, so happy for him. And I think I told you this. He said, thank you, there is more. And the next night, he got 2nd in the 50.
There was more.
There was more.
He was not lying. There was
oh my god, it was a wild week.
Oh my gosh. I know. Just, like, I'm sure just, even, like, the emotions of, like, knowing all these people.
Yeah.
Like, it was just so, like, you must have just been, like, fried after the meet.
There were so many races where I was, like, having anxiety attacks.
Yeah.
Because there were either people that I'd interviewed or in some cases, like, people that I, like, personally knew who were swimming. Like, when Rachel Klinker swam, I cried for her. Aww. Because she got 8th in her semifinal, and I knew she had a chance to get on the team. And she went 207 in the 2 fly. Yeah. Like, that would have been, like, 3rd, I think.
Yeah.
And, like, she didn't want to do media after. Like, but then when they told her it was me, apparently, like, instantly her face lit up, and she's like, oh my god, let's go do it. And the first thing she asked was how I was doing, and if I was having fun, and if I was enjoying the meet. And I almost cried.
That's so awesome.
It was so cool. Like, getting to make those connections with people, and then getting to meet them in person, or, like, seeing them outside of the meet, or, like, I went and got lunch with some of them, like, making those connections people was, like, my favorite part of the week. Because I'm like, now I can actually say, like, I've shaken your hand, I've put in a face to the name. Yeah, it was amazing.
That's such an awesome experience, and just, like, the swimming community is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, you just get to meet so many cool people from, you know, all around the U.S., and...
It felt like I was making a new friend, like, every day.
Yeah. Like, it really, like, everyone knows everyone.
Yeah.
Like, you know, either through first or second or third connection. I think you said that to me on the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
which, like, is literally speaking of, like, meeting you and your family on the plane. And, like, I said this to you guys to your face, but you guys kept me sane. Like, I would have lost my mind. I was honestly comforted, too, that I wasn't dealing with that alone. Like, that was... So, okay, for context, we should probably explain what happened.
Oh, yeah, probably. Probably a good idea.
We were on the plane. We were in Indianapolis, and the plane was like 4.5 hours delayed, something like that. And they told us we're gonna...
You're at the kiosk.
Yeah. They were like, oh, we know you guys have a connecting flight in Austin, but we think you won't make it, so we figured out a better solution for you. We're going to send you from Indy to Austin to San Diego to San Jose. So we were literally going to go south and then west.
Yeah,
Um,
Southwest put a name to it, but
and then we
they,
joked going to San Diego that they were gonna tell us that there wasn't a plane.
yep.
And then they were like, "Why are you still on the plane?" I was like,
Yeah,
I was on the phone with my mom, and I was like, "Hold on, let me call you back. I think I'm spending the night in San Diego."
I remember that. They like everyone was off and
Yeah,
like we're just sitting back in our seats, like we
and we're like,
found
"We
our
got the
living
comfiest
room.
seats in the house."
We were like relaxed, and then the flight attendants are over here. They're like,
They were probably so confused. We're like, "What are they still doing?"
yeah, they're like, hey, you guys planning on getting off?
You're like,
Like,
"Hey, we want to go home."
we're done here.
Oh
And we're
my
like, no,
god.
we're going to
The
San
fact that
Jose.
they didn't want to give us a hotel at first, too. Like, that the guy handed me the boarding pass and was like, "Alright, have a nice night." I'm like, wait, hold on.
You're
Give me.
like,
It wasn't like an insane sequence of events. Like, it was.
that was crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, here's your boarding pass.
Here's
your
your
flight's
boarding
in 8
pass. Have a good
hours.
one.
Yeah, like
I'm
they're like, yeah.
realizing right now I left my bag at the pool. It's
Oh
fine.
no.
I'll get it later. I like. I looked to my side and it wasn't there, and I was like, "It's at the pool. I'll get it
Oh,
later."
oh no, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. We're very informal here.
Oh, that's good. Same here.
All right, I have just a few more questions for you.
Yeah,
So you swim club on Quicksilver, which is really funny because I bet if we went back and looked at meet results,
we probably would.
we'd probably
Yeah,
find meets that we both swam at.
yeah.
How do you think your time on Quicksilver, and you got to compete for them at trials?
Mhm.
How do you think that built a base of success for you at Alabama?
Honestly, like I really attribute a lot of my success in being able to swim in college to my being on Quicksilver. And so it's kind of funny because so I think when I was about maybe 12, about 13, I think, is when we joined Quicksilver. So we, me and a group of kids in my area were looking for, just another team to join. And we needed, like, we were kind of debating upon going over the hill, from Santa Cruz, we'd have to drive over the Santa Cruz Mountains into the Silicon Valley,
Yeah,
which that's an ordeal in itself.
yeah, it's like a 40-minute drive on a
Yeah.
good day.
Yeah, on a good day. And then sometimes, in the winter, it's just like the roads sometimes just
Yeah.
closed. And it's, not really affordable to get over there every day. And so luckily, Lucas Salas Cunha was, or Cunha, sorry. I need to pronounce his last name correctly. He is from Santa Cruz, and so his brother Andre Salas Cunha is the head coach of Quicksilver Swimming in San Jose. And so Lucas was coaching over there a few days a week, but he was looking to try to stay more over in Santa Cruz, just be closer to home, closer to his family. And so we happened to meet Lucas just per chance, and my parents and a bunch of other parents of this group of kids, which was probably about 20, 30 kids maybe, like talked to him and like we set up Quicksilver Swimming and we set up a satellite group in Santa Cruz. And since then, that's got to be like almost, man, sorry, quick math here.
Would have been like 10, 11 years. If
Yeah,
yeah, something like that.
well, maybe a little less than 10 years now, probably like 8 years or so ago that we set this up. And yeah, so it was really fortunate. And uh so just being on, a team like with not only like the resources over here to compete at a high level, and having Lucas, who's an awesome coach, like he really is focused on technique. And like we didn't swim a lot. Like we'd swim maybe like 3 to 5,000 yards a day. But he was just really focused on developing those strokes and helping kids individually meet, what they needed and their goals. And that just really like it was awesome. And then having the resources of the bigger team over the hill with Quicksilver was just great because, you know, now we get to go to these bigger meets like junior nationals or um, US Open or, you know, tier pros and stuff like that with like the resources of a bigger team. And being able to compete with the kids from, you know, San Jose was great because it just really allowed us a lot more opportunities.
We did like a dual meet with you guys. I
Yeah.
think with Livermore Aqua Cowboys, we did a dual meet with you guys.
Not over the summer one time?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I
remember.
swam in that meet.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, we definitely
That's so funny. That's so funny. I met a guy that I worked with who like trained me at my new job when I started there like last year, and we realized that like there was a picture of us on the blocks against each other on a relay.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I remember that meet. I remember
Yeah,
seeing, like the Aqua Cowboys tents and like
yeah. I think it was
yeah,
pre-COVID. I'm pretty sure
yeah, that
it would
was
have had to have been like summer 2019 or 2018, something like that.
yeah, 2019, 2018,
Yeah,
something
that's
like
so
that.
funny.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I remember doing that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's such a small world. Like the swimming community's so tightly knit. Like
Yeah.
like everybody knows everybody if you go down the tree far enough.
Oh my gosh, I know. Like it's really cool, especially like I think Northern California swimming is kind of like a special community in
Yeah.
itself. It's like, you know, like in Northern California, like you have the elements. We don't have any indoor pools. And like you really have to like swimming to keep
Yeah.
you grow up like, you know, you're going to like Far Westerns or JOs or whatever
It
meet.
was like pouring rain. Like my old job hosted Far Westerns, and it was
Yeah.
pouring rain through the whole meet.
Yeah, it'll be pouring rain. It'll be like 45 degrees out. You're
And it's
sitting on
like,
the
go swim.
yeah, like you're just like sitting under an easy up or like in like a little camping tent with your
Yeah.
on your UGG boots and like just shivering, trying to stay
And
warm.
it's like, all right, try to go best time.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, best time. Let's see it.
My parents would be like, why didn't you go best time? And I'm like, it is 45 degrees and
I
pouring
know.
rain.
Yeah, like swimming in California. Really, I think
I've always said it's the worst state to. It's the state with the worst weather where we swim outdoors.
yeah,
Because even like Oregon has indoor pools.
yeah.
Like,
No, our winters get cold. Like I remember going to meets growing up when like, you know, it's like December and the blocks are frozen.
yeah. Oh my. Okay, I have a picture somewhere, and I don't know where, but we went to a meet in Clovis one year,
Yeah,
like the Juanita Allington Memorial
yeah,
something.
yeah.
We went there, I think in like 2018 or 2019, and it was so cold that and it rained overnight, and somebody left their speaker on their chair. That we got back the next day, and it was frozen in the chair.
Oh my
Like
god,
there was a puddle of water that had the speaker in it, and it had frozen over.
that's insane.
It was an insane sequence of events. Like it was a crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
Wow. Like you really like I don't know, I think you really learn to either love swimming or
you have to
don't.
really enjoy this sport to
Yeah.
do it in California.
Yeah. No, it makes hardy people. It makes hardy swimmers.
Even like Nevada has indoor pools. I mean, that's probably because it gets to be like 115 degrees there.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, like my girlfriend works at the city pool in Pleasanton,
Yeah.
and their pool right now is 88 degrees.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like they're legitimately considering canceling practice
Yeah.
because it's 88 degrees and people will just pass out.
That's insane. Yeah, that's way too hot.
Yeah.
Especially like with this heat wave out when it's like
Oh my god,
90.
it's gonna be like. I mean, how's the weather in Santa Cruz? Because
It's not bad. It's like especially
Santa
like,
Cruz
coming
is
from
usually
Alabama.
nicer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially coming from Alabama and even like Indiana where it was like 95.
Oh my
degrees.
god, I would rather take this heat over Indiana heat. Like
Yeah.
the 95 degrees, like 70% humidity, thunderstorms.
Hmm.
I just like everybody would be like fine, and I'm like, how are you guys surviving this? I'm from California. I'm used to wearing a jacket in thunderstorms, not being in a tank top and shorts.
I know. No, the rain, like when it rains, like especially either there in the summer or
Yeah,
like Alabama, like when it rains in the summer, you're like, yes, like let's go. It'll be so nice outside. Like I'm gonna go on a walk. Like
yeah.
this is the best. Finally, like I can be outside.
Oh my god, I like I would. I mean, I guess I wouldn't take 108-degree weather over. I don't know. It's a different kind of heat.
It's a different kind of heat for sure. Yeah, that's tough. I don't know about that one.
So you talked about paddleboarding. You talked about the shark that you guys experienced,
Yeah.
but you like talked in the past about how you've done that as like a method of cross training while being at Alabama. How do you
Yeah.
think that's given you some fun ways to supplement your swimming and like do something active outside of just staring at a black line at the bottom of the pool all day?
Oh, totally. Like a lot of the times, like we only have like really like a day and a half of rest. Typically, like, like we'll have Saturday morning practice and then you're off till Monday morning.
Yeah.
And a lot of times either like Saturday afternoon or they're like a Sunday, I like to go out and paddle and like it's a really nice time for me to like just like be outside, do something that I really enjoy and did growing up. And then I just feel like it really like also just refreshes me mentally for swimming. And like usually when I go on a paddle like in Alabama, I'm just kind of going on like a little cruiser. But if I like when I do train paddling, like it's an awesome workout. Like so you're either like on your stomach kind of going like in a prone position
Yeah.
and you're doing like sort of like a freestyle stroke with your arms, or you can do kind of like a two-arm stroke. Sometimes people do that too. But you'll either be on your stomach or you'll go to your knees. And when you're in your knees, you're doing a butterfly stroke. And so like that's really helped me develop like just a really strong like upper body. And like before college I hadn't ever lifted, but I felt like I was really like just strong. And just to begin with, like I am kind of like I have a bigger frame, like I am just I don't know,
Swimmers
like
are big. Like we're
yeah,
wide, big people.
I'm a big person, like but like I felt like I was just really like especially like my back was really developed from prone paddling. And like
It probably helped develop like a sprinter's build too. Like sprinters are typically like
yeah,
wider shoulders
yeah,
and
you got
back.
the shoulders and
Yeah.
like like I mean it really helped me, especially like with both my freestyle and especially my butterfly, like just really getting that catch like hammered down by paddling. And then also like the paddle races that I do were long, like they're like 12
Oh
miles.
God.
Yeah. So like I mean I'm a sprinter swimming, like I don't ever put me in a distance like more than 100 or whatever. But it really helped me like develop like just a good endurance base. And like I also my coach used to put me in the 200 fly occasionally. It helped with that. Made me a decent 200 flyer.
I've always said that you need to train like if you want to swim the 100 fly, you got to train the 200 fly. If you want to swim like if you want to swim anything, you got to train double that event or just the next longest event.
Yeah, it just helps like with endurance.
Yeah.
Like just having that, kind of like aerobic base really helped me with just with like my swimming, especially because like when I do swim, like like I train more sprint.
Yeah.
And especially in club, like we wouldn't really swim very long or very much. Like my senior year, especially with the COVID restrictions, we only got an hour of swimming a day, and that was like 5 days a week. So like paddling really helped supplement that and give me more water time and just helped develop that base outside of swimming.
We got my like the COVID year that my team had, like in 2021. We
Yeah.
had 8 people on the team.
Oh my gosh. I know.
So everybody got their own lane. Everybody had
Yeah.
to swim on their own. We had 8 people on the team, and we were tested like 2 or 3 times a week.
That's
And there
awesome.
was kind of this like general atmosphere of like, all right,
Hmm.
no one screw this up.
Yeah. Oh.
No one messed this up.
No one gets sick.
Yeah.
Just don't get sick. But yeah. Oh, I should also probably mention that so like growing up with paddling too, like I do races and stuff, and I think it was 2018. I was able to qualify for Worlds, and I went to Hainan, China,
Oh, what
and
cool.
yeah, no, it was super fun. So I went to China and I did 3 races there. I did like this like technical race that was like about 4 or 5 miles, but you're paddling in and out of surf, and like at some point, like at each lap, you'd have to get out and like run your board around this pole and then
Oh.
get back in. Like it was super fun, so hard. It was like 45 minutes of just pure pain. But that was really fun. And then they had a distance race, which was 18 kilometers.
Oh God.
So it was about 12 miles.
Oh my God. That's an
And
insane distance.
yeah, and it was nuts. It was so much fun. I took third in that race, but it was like there's just like this whole like sorry, this might be a little bit of a
No,
tangent.
go on the tangent, please.
So here's the story. So like we're in Hainan, China, which is this island that's off of China.
Yeah.
And like it's in the South China Sea. It's tropical, it's hot there. Like we're basically off the coast of Vietnam. And so like lining up, like I had put on this new water bottle cage on my board because, throughout the race you're gonna need your
Yeah.
water. And like I also had like I think like 3 of these, like kind of like electrolyte, like carbohydrate glue,
Yeah.
like glue type deals. Like Cliff Bar makes like these goos, and I had them strapped to my board. So, anyways, I've got 2 water bottles and like 3 like just kind of goo packets. And so I'm lined up for the race. It's like it's a sand start, so you have to run into the water, and then it's I think it's like 3 like 6K laps. And so, anyways, they send us off, and I jump into the water. I put my board down, and then a wave comes, and I lose both my water bottles. And I'm like, oh crap. It's like 90 degrees out right now. I don't have any water, and I'm about to go like 18K. This is gonna suck.
Were they able
And
to get you your water? Like, did they?
so yeah, so my mom found the water on the shore, and she's like, "Oh, can we just like throw this out so she can grab it?" And they were like, "No, she doesn't get any water." Like
That's stupid.
yeah.
Like,
Like my mom was like really so my mom was there with me and like
Yeah.
watching the race. Like she was genuinely worried about me because it's like super hot out.
yeah, and you're going 12 miles. Like,
Yeah, like this is gonna take like 2.5 hours
yeah.
racing. And so anyways, I go and like it's really close throughout the entire race, like me and these 2 other girls. And so we're coming into the finish line, and it's just like neck and neck. Like the 3 of us are just like lined up like this, like our boards are just like
Yeah.
like just nose, and like it's you don't know what's gonna happen. Like it's crazy. Oh my gosh. And so, anyways, we come into the finish, and so you have to jump off your board and run across the finish line on the sand. And so I see like the girl to my left jump off her board, and I'm like, oh man, I gotta go. And so I get off, and then my legs like crumble underneath me. But then I get up and I run, and like I finish, I like pass out on the finish line. Like it was a crazy experience, but it was just like super cool.
I thought you were gonna say you tripped over your water bottle.
No, honestly though, that would have happened.
I was waiting for that, and then I tripped over my water bottle.
Yeah, and then it was right there, and I tripped over it.
That's
Oh
so
man.
cool.
Yeah, no, it
Like,
was
I didn't even know that was a thing.
yeah, it was such a cool experience, and like, just I think doing that race, especially for me, was like one of the hardest things that I've done physically and athletically. And so I remember at trials, like I'd had a, kind of like a rough 100 fly in the prelims, and I decided that I was going to time trial it again. And so I remember actually, like before the race, I went back and I played back the video of that race and like the finish, and I just tried to, just kind of channel that same sort of like energy of like, hey, this is gonna really hurt at the end, but like I've done hard things before, like I can do this.
Yeah.
And I think it helped. Like I had a better swim that next time, so it was good. But yeah, it was I think also too just an important point with swimming is that swimming opens the door for you to do so many other things in the water. And like there's a lot of other aspects of like racing and then other like types of skills that you can accumulate and like just become really good at because you have the base of a swimmer. And like I think swimming is just, it's like it's a key that's going to open a lot of doors. And I think a lot of times people don't realize that. But like we have a really unique set of skills here, and like you got to use that.
I think like that type of motivation too, the like watching footage
Yeah.
or just visualizing races in which you've done really well is so
Yeah.
powerful. I mean, like Simone Manuel talked about it after she won the
Yeah.
53. I like when I was swimming for my college team, like there were races like, see, I swam the mile and the 400 IM, like those were my bread and butter, unfortunately. Um,
That is an unfortunate bread and butter.
yeah. Um, and I famously would negative split like a madman. Like my breaststroke would be faster than my backstroke,
How?
despite the fact that I was a half decent 200 backstroker. Like I could swim a fairly well put together 200 backstroke,
Yeah.
but my breaststroke would always be faster by like
Mhm.
seconds, not by like. So I would
Dang.
swim flying back, and I'd be like within range. I'd be like maybe like half a lap behind.
Yeah.
Um, and then breaststroke, I would just be like nobody else was even moving. Be breaststroke and freestyle were like I would make up the gap pretty
Yeah.
dramatically. So like in practice, whenever like I was not swimming well or I was having a rough set, my coach would yell at me. He's like, "Think like you're swimming in the last 200 of your 4 IM."
That's so cool. Yeah, no, just like channeling that energy
Yeah,
from like other races and like, other like whether it's like a practice or just like a way that you swim that's unique to you is I think a really important skill. And yeah, like you said, like, just being able to think back to that and like have that sort of get in that mindset of like where you were at and like that understanding of, hey, I can do this. Like I've done this before.
yeah.
Like what Simone Manuel said about, like watching herself and like channeling that like energy of being, that powerful and like being a winner or
Yeah.
whatever. Like that's something that's really cool. And I think that's an awesome skill to have.
I mean, when like I swam that mile at my last meet with my college team, I was about like 2 weeks after I'd interviewed Kenzie McMahon, and she talked about like her training for the 500 and mile, and how she was able to execute her race plan from throughout the whole season,
Yeah.
where she had practiced going like I think it was three dolphin kicks off the
Mhm.
last couple of walls in her 500 and her mile.
Yeah.
And in her 500, like that was the difference maker. Off her last three walls, she went three dolphin kicks, and passed up like a really star-studded field
Yeah.
in that last 25. And
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
it didn't work in my mile. Like, I didn't beat the guy next to me, but
Yeah.
I got closer.
No, that's so cool. Yeah, just like being able to channel that, like, hey, I'm gonna
Yeah.
think about this and I'm gonna execute it. Also, that race that she did was, oh my
It was
gosh.
amazing. Like, she was like 36 seed. Like, to move up from 36 seed to winning the event
It was
at
so
that
cool.
level is insane. Like,
It
I
was
don't.
so
At trials, there was people who moved up that significantly, but I don't think there were. I think besides Chris Giuliano, I don't think there was anybody that low on the cyclist on
yeah,
the site sheet who moved up to winning an individual spot in an event at trials.
yeah, totally. And I mean, like obviously, like Kenzie is just such a humble person, and she's so sweet and kind. But like that year, she trained like a
Yeah.
madman. Like oh my gosh, like it was insane to watch her swim. Like she would go like 10K practices like alone. And like granted, she also swam a 25K that year at open water.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, it was insane. Like she really worked for that. Like it was
Free
so
Kenzie McMahon.
yes. No, I love her. She's
I'll
awesome.
be talking to her later this week. I think we're
Oh,
gonna do it on
cool.
Thursday, and I'm excited to hear from her both on like a.
Yeah.
I mean, I consider her to be a friend at this point, like both on a
Yeah.
friend level, and on like a platform level, like wanting to get her story out there
Oh, totally.
because I still need to like go in and research and like figure out what's happened because I
Yeah.
don't know the full scale of the story.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, like, just on in terms of a character level alone,
Yeah.
it is a hard pill for me to swallow that Kenzie McMahon is the type of person to do the things that she's been uh, accused of doing. Like,
Yeah, I can't see it. Like, I mean,
yeah,
I obviously she's one of my great friends. Like she's just one of the kindest, most genuine people that I
yeah,
know. Like she took me into her house and like let me live with her for a point like of which I was like homeless my freshman
yeah.
year after the dorms had closed and like we were staying to train over the summer. Like she let me live in her house. Like she's taking care of me. She's helped me move. Like I watch her cat all the time. Like no, like she sends me like a daily like cat video of Luna. Like, oh my gosh. Oh, it's awesome. Like it's also so funny because Kenzie's like this like crazy fit, like awesome,
Yeah.
studly athlete. And then her cat, like I love this cat to death.
Is it like a fat cat?
She's so chunky. Like I love that cat. I love her so much. She is she's my god cat. She's my god cat. Like oh my gosh, I'm her aunt. Like, but she is so chunky, and then it's like it's awesome because like Kenzie's like she'll like be biking or whatever,
Yeah, and her cat's
and
just
then
running around like.
yeah, like it's like she has like her stationary bike and she'll be like biking, like doing a workout, like just getting in some, and then her cat's just sitting next to her. She's just like blobbed down.
I just like it speaks to her character too that as soon as all this happened, she pulled out of competition.
Yo, yeah,
Like immediately pulled out of competition, even though she definitely didn't want to.
yeah.
Like, and it like did everything she could to like try and clear her name.
No, it like she did everything right. Like, I mean, she pulled out of competition. She immediately stopped practice. Like, that was definitely like a really hard time. And like, I think too, another thing that was hard for her was just like not being able to, kind of share her story. And then also like, there's people like, oh, what's wrong? Like, why aren't you swimming?
Like I think like publicly she said she wanted to like step away to focus on like
yeah, like,
career things and
yeah,
but it always struck like I never asked her about it obviously, but it
yeah.
always struck me as odd because I'm like you were in like the pinnacle of your career, like you were set to possibly make an Olympic team.
I know. That was definitely like such a hard thing for her to deal with. And like, just as a friend, watching that happen too, like she handled it amazingly.
Yeah.
Like, she was always just so positive and like still really prioritized her relationships outside the pool also, like, like still prioritized seeing her friends and being kind and like doing things that would help make her better, like within her career. And like she got a full-time job, like
Yeah.
she like started her life and started her career outside of swimming, and that was like awesome to see. Just like her personal development over that year was like awesome. Like she just like she's working with adapted athletics now, and
I've
like
seen all the stuff she's been posting about it. It's
yeah.
awesome.
Oh, no, it's so
It like
cool.
it breaks my heart though that like she was dealing with that alone or virtually
Exactly.
alone for that long.
Yeah.
Which like
No,
I don't know what's going on with USADA right now, but like did you see the ban that they put on Michael Brinegar too?
yeah.
That was so weird. I'm like, how
Well,
does he get cleared? And then he swims at trials, and you reopen the case and tell him he's banned again the night before his 1500 free.
no, that makes no sense to me. I don't know
Yeah,
what's happening. Um,
like I don't understand like what the deal is.
it doesn't make sense. And like it's like just really, especially like with Kenzie and then Michael Brinegar, and like it's kind of like the same sort of class of, banned substance, and like really kind of similar deals to which
Especially
it,
like somebody he's the son of a 1976 Olympian,
yeah, like it just doesn't make sense. Like a lot of things are just kind of like,
and that his periods that he tested positive or when he was diagnosed with COVID.
yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know that. I need to talk to him too because I'm like, I don't know the correlation there. I don't know if there's any sort of like correlation between like
Yeah.
what COVID does to your body to like that it would show up on a positive test like that.
I
But it's
mean,
like, what's the motivation to be doping when you're like sick with COVID?
exactly. And like from my sort of standing, like what I like, obviously, I'm not a certified professional, but like
Me neither.
yeah, like I study kinesiology, and like, I think like with his situation, like he was, he tested, or he had high levels of EPO, like, right?
Yeah.
Like, so that's erythropoietin, and that's what your body creates. That's the hormone your body creates from your kidneys to tell your red bone marrow to create more blood cells. And so, like, your body does that when you're not receiving enough oxygen. I could see
Which
it.
happens when you have COVID and you're having like
Yeah. Like, if you're,
it's so weird. And the fact
yeah,
that they told him that if you contest it, we double the ban. And if you turn somebody in, we lower it by a year. That's so scummy to me.
yeah, that is really
Like,
scummy. That doesn't make sense. And it just,
I'm a
it just
big
seems wrong.
believer in innocent before proving guilty, and not just guilty. And if you try to prove you're innocent, you're even more guilty.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Like, this
because
is
it's
like the,
happened before. Like Madison Cox got banned, and she was able to prove that it was
yeah.
not a not an intentional
Yeah.
substance she took. Like Shayna Jack in Australia got banned, and she was able to prove that it was not an intentional substance. But
Yeah.
both of those athletes, for the rest of their careers, have
We're,
been labeled as a drug cheat. Like people still label Shayna Jack as a drug cheat, despite the fact that she was able to prove her innocence.
yeah. Which honestly, that's just, I think just the inability to like fully clear your name is like one of the hardest parts of that.
Yeah.
Like,
But
especially
like
like,
Michael Brinegar did, like he was
yeah.
cleared. It's
Yeah.
so weird. I need to talk to him. He's like, I don't understand. Like,
I,
just
I don't understand that too. And I think like just,
if he wasn't cleared, why did they let him swim at trials? Like, that's the thing that I don't get. Is like,
no, that's like the total head scratcher of like,
yeah,
what's going on here? Like, I do think that there is something that's, a little bit weird at play.
yeah.
Obviously, I have no idea
I
what
mean,
that is.
like when 23 Chinese swimmers can test positive and then still go on to win medals at the Olympics. Like,
Oh, Oh,
And they're still competing this summer.
I know.
Like, I saw an article the other day about, like, a Chinese swimmer being like, oh, you know, my world title really gave me confidence. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but was it also the drugs that you took that were unintentional?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the fact that the Chinese, like, swimming federation donated an extra $1.5 million to WADA is like, okay. There's I don't have the ability to connect these lines, but somewhere along the line that we lost the plot. Something happened here.
Yeah, something happened. Something
Yeah.
weird. I.
Believe it or not, I still have two more questions for you.
Oh my god.
Do you have the time? You're good?
Oh, I'm good. Like,
Okay.
I got all night here. Like,
We've officially broken the record for longest episode of the podcast, by the way.
oh my gosh. I'm sorry.
It was.
I've been rambling.
Oh no, you're good. I don't mind. I literally have nothing to do.
Hey, no, this is great. This is just a conversation. I love
Yeah,
it.
which is like that's how I always try to make these, just a fun conversation.
Yeah.
But I think the record before this was an hour and like 14 minutes, and we're at an hour and 30 in about 20 seconds here.
All right. Hey. Let's break some records.
So, speaking of being a, oh my god, I know I can say this word, a kinesiology major.
Kinesiology.
Kinesiology. I always mess up that word.
Oh yeah.
What's been your favorite part of like pursuing a career with that major in college, like in the classes that you've been taking? And then what would the career path be to becoming a physician's associate?
Yeah. So, oh, great question. So honestly, I think especially with being an athlete, being a kinesiology major is like one of the coolest things you can do in college. Especially if you're really interested in just like human physiology and like want a health track that's not quite like bio, but you know, just a little bit more focused on like human just kind of like, you know, human physiology, human movement, and then also like, you know, have like a really good look at like just how exercise impacts health. Kinesiology is like a great move. Like, I love it. It's really taught me a lot, not only about like my body and my own physiology, like when it comes to exercise, but just also about like the importance of exercise, the importance of like, you know, being healthy and like what health looks like and how that looks different on so many people. And like, it's really cool, you know, in terms of just like being able to learn about something in class and then like kind of like apply it to yourself in like the real world. Like, I'll give an example. So, you know, in class, like we talked a lot about like, um, you know, like there's this curve, forgetting the name of it. I just was tested on it, but it like just fell out of my head. It's basically like the oxygen to carbon dioxide disassociation curve, and it looks kind of like an S. And so, anyways, like towards your muscles, like it kind of shows like the amounts of like pressure and oxygen needed to satisfy the oxygen needed by your muscles to perform. And so like, you know, like the more carbon dioxide that you have located like in your muscles, like the greater amounts of oxygen needed. So like, you know, applying that to swimming, like if you are able to really just like get a lot of not only like good inhales of oxygen, but really like push out that carbon dioxide, you're going to make your body more alkaline, and that's going to help you with you know, just satisfying the oxygen needs of your muscles with swimming. So, you know, one thing that my one of my kin professors said is like, oh yeah, no, before you swim, you should really just try to like hyperventilate a little bit, and like just really, you know, get that CO2 expelled. because it's the CO2 that drives your need to breathe, not necessarily the lack of oxygen.
I had a friend who used to do that actually, like before
Yeah.
he won a state title for my community college in the 100 free, and he would hyperventilate before his races every time.
Yeah.
Like, wait, that's actually I did not know that there was a correlation there that
Yeah.
that's like a positive thing to do.
I mean, I wouldn't like go and like hyperventilate a bunch. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to get lightheaded or anything.
Yeah.
At that point, you're not going to help yourself. But like, if you can get some like, really good deep breaths of oxygen, but also like really push out that CO2 and like get some really good exhales, that's going to be really good for you. And also during swimming, like you really need to work on your exhale like while you're swimming. That's
I mean, if you watch like, I remember as a kid like watching like the London Olympics and being like really confused watching like Alison Schmidt underwater, and she'd like turn and just water would go crazy out of her nose.
Yeah. Like, I mean, she was on it. Like this year, actually, I dropped a lot of time in my 100 long course fly. And the main thing that I've been working on this summer is just having a really forceful exhale on my recovery stroke because I breathe every other stroke.
Yeah.
So on the stroke that I'm not breathing, I just try to take like a really just hard exhale and like try to stay relaxed while doing so. And that's really helped me be able to get more oxygen and just stay more relaxed and like feel like I'm not gonna, completely
Not gonna like pass out in the middle of the pool.
Like the piano isn't completely crushing me.
Yeah. Oh my god, the piano that happens to me in butterfly. If the 50 butterfly was an event,
Oh my god.
it would be the only thing that I ever swim.
Oh, I love the 50 butterfly. It's great.
I'm forever gonna be sad that it's not an event we're allowed to swim.
It doesn't make sense to me. I'm petitioning. We need to put
If
50s
there are world records tracked, we should be allowed to swim it.
Yeah, no, it does not make any sense why it's not.
Give Michael Andrew a longer career, goddamn.
Oh my god. Get that man on the Olympic team. 50 breaststroke right now.
Which, like, at this point, like, he doesn't even finish his 50s very well. Like, I am curious to see what Michael Andrew is gonna do now.
Yeah, I really hope that that they find what he needs to work on with training, or just like
I hope he fires his dad respectfully. Like, no disrespect to either of them.
Oh
but
my god.
Genuinely, I don't think their connection is working. Like, they've lost the sauce somewhere there. There's something wrong there.
Yeah, like, I mean, obviously I can imagine it's just like a really hard situation, especially like his dad being his only coach, like for
his whole life. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also just that, having him be his dad too, like that's a really hard
It's
thing.
a tough conversation to have.
Yeah, and like I don't know. I mean, my dad was like my high school swimming coach, and obviously that's way different. Like, like when your parent is your coach, it's difficult. And like I really do feel for him, and like I hope that things work out.
Yeah, like, it's obviously, like, I'm not wishing any ill will against him or his dad.
Oh, yeah, no, of course.
Like, it's more of just like, man, I want to see somebody with that level of talent actually, like, be able to live up to the talent that they have, which I'm sure he wants to.
Yeah. Also, you didn't hear it from me, but I think maybe we quit the carnivore diet. I don't know.
Oh my god, and the amount of ads that I saw, I might cut this part out, the amount of ads that I saw after he missed the team of like supplements that he's sponsored by, and I'm like, so we needed some more money? I don't know.
Yeah.
I like, having met him at trials and having interviewed him at trials, he is a really nice person, and he's really good with kids, and he's a good like avenue for people to fall in love with swimming and be inspired by someone.
Yeah.
But like, the fall off that he's had in the past couple of years, it needs to be studied by him and his dad and be like, what went wrong? Because
Yeah.
it's like every year he's progressively gotten slower.
Yeah.
Like he went almost a second faster in like an in season meet before trials this year. So it's like I don't know, something needs to be examined there. Because I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he missed the 50 free final.
Yeah, I don't think he was in it.
No. So it's like
Yeah.
something needs to be examined there to figure out what went wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I know, like, everyone has a hard meet every once in
Yeah.
a while. Like, people get sick and all that. It just sucks too, because, like, I know that sometimes for some people, like, to a meet isn't always the best show of where they're at.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know, like, like, it is also a good gauge of where you're at too. Like, that day, like, hey, maybe we need to change some things. And, like, I mean, I know for me, like, there have been meets to which it's like, you know, things just haven't gone well. And, like, that's led to, like, you have to have a hard conversation and
Yeah.
say, like, hey, like, this isn't working here. Like, we need to do something and change the way that we're looking at this. And, like, I think, like, that shift in mindset and, like, the shift in, like, understanding that it's okay to do stuff and have it not work out. But, like, you don't need to keep, like, beating the dead horse, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
I still like stand by that he's a phenomenal relay
yeah.
swimmer.
Oh, yeah.
Like that 50.0 split that he had at Worlds in 2022
Oh,
is
that was
still
awesome.
my favorite Michael Andrews swim.
Yeah.
Because he probably didn't know that he was going to be named to that relay. Like, that was Caleb Dressel's spot.
Yeah.
He did not go into that meet ready to swim 100 butterfly, and he was probably asked, like, the day before if he
Oh, yeah.
could step up and do that relay. And he went 50.0. Like, at the Olympics, he's a world record holder. He split 58.3 in his 100 breaststroke on the medley relay. Like,
Oh, my gosh.
so, like, he's a phenomenal relay swimmer, but it's like
Yeah.
basic physiology says you need to train longer stuff if you want to be good at shorter stuff. Like even Cameron McAvoy, who's
Yeah.
purely a 50 freestyler, even he swims the 100 free in season just to like make sure he can finish his 50.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think, like, yeah, just developing, like, a good base is, like, important
Yeah.
too.
I
Like,
wish he kept swimming the 200 IM.
oh, I
Like
know.
even just in season, it's a really good training event to swim.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Like, just, I mean, you don't always need to do, like, especially, like, with Alabama, like, with what we do a lot of, like, kind of different, weird sort of stuff too. Like, you don't always have to swim, like, you know, like, oh, I'm just gonna swim a 200 fly.
Yeah.
Like, let me get up there and do this. But, like, like before trials, like, I did a suited up swim where I did a 75 butterfly, and I went a 25 just underwater. Like, so, Margot sent me off. I went 25 underwater, just kind of cruisy, relax. And then I swam within that a 50 fly, like, all out. And so, just try, like, training that to, like, say, okay, like, hey, you're not going to start off. Well, you know, sorry, stumbling a minute.
No, you're good.
Sometimes I do that. But anyways, like, like, just to kind of prime the lungs of saying, okay, hey, like, there's gonna be a little bit of tension here, but then, like, just kind of get into that stroke, relax, breathe, like,
Yeah.
really exhale, get that CO2 out, and then swim a good 50 fly, like, good middle 50 fly chunk. And I think, like, doing that sort of, like, kind of like non-traditional swimming helps sometimes too. Like, especially for me, like, I get kind of bored doing just like,
I used to have a coach who
yeah,
we wouldn't swim like 7,000, 8,000 yards a day, but everything we do would be of quality. Like you don't have to you don't
oh
have to
yeah,
swim garbage yards. You just have to make sure that the yards you are doing are building you a good base and
yeah.
you're getting quality work in.
Everything that you do in swimming should have a purpose.
Yeah.
like everything that you're doing should have a purpose. And if it doesn't, then there's no point in doing it. And like I think I'm a big believer in like, hey, like more isn't always better. Like sometimes you just really need to hit something like just to the point to which like, or not just to the point, but just do it in a way to which you maximize what you're getting for what you're giving. And
Yeah.
like, like doing suited up 50 sets is like something that we'll do pretty frequently. Like I think that helps. And then like just really trying to, work different thing, like work on different aspects of swimming in different ways. Like we'll do like an underwater practice and like that's, just like the theme of the practice. And like that'll be like our Wednesday mornings was like underwater work. And like that was pretty much the entire practice. And so like, I don't know, just doing stuff like that. Like you don't always need to do like a ton of yards or whatever. Especially, I mean, this is coming from a sprinter, so heed that with warning for distance.
I will cry in the corner with my 10-200s.
Yeah, you're like, oh god, that's great.
But even like stuff like that serves a purpose of like building that base of being able to swim for 15-20 minutes.
Exactly. Like if you're gonna swim for 15-20 minutes, you should be able to do 15 minutes of work.
I'm curious, like how often, like in season, like at like a dual meet or something, do you swim like a 200 free or a 200 fly or a two? Or like do you at all?
I've never swam a 200 at a dual meet.
Which I don't think you necessarily even need to.
Well,
That was just a curiosity. Like you don't necessarily need to be a good sprinter.
So I've actually talked to Margot about this, and like, I mean, I'm probably gonna regret telling her this, obviously. But I told her, I was like, hey Margot, like maybe we should do a 200 fly. Instead of dual meet, like let's just do a 200 fly, like at our first dual meet of the year.
First dual meet of the year, you're doing a 200 fly. She probably has that written down.
Oh, I'm sure she does. I think she's definitely gonna put us in some, some more events like that we're usually probably not that comfortable with swimming. I bet I'm gonna do a 200 fly, maybe 200 free this season, and that's probably.
Oh, my coach would do that at least once a year. He'd put it. There was always the same meet. He was there for 4 years. There was always the same meet where he'd put everybody in like 7 events.
Yeah.
So like where I'd go in and like there'd be sprinters swimming like the 2 fly, the 4 a.m., the mile, the 500, like swimming like just crazy events. And everybody would complain and everybody would be annoyed.
Yep.
And I remember getting to like my 3rd or 4th year and just being like, you guys are all stupid. I didn't say that. But I was like, just trust the process.
Oh my gosh. I know the animosity between like sprint and
because then like when you get to the end of the season and you're swimming, instead of 6 events in a day, you're swimming like 2 or 3 and they're half the distance. Yeah. Like it becomes a lot easier to go fast.
Well, I think more so too, like when you're swimming at those end of the season meets, like SECs, for example, like SECs is 5 days long.
Oh God, it is 5 days long.
It's a long meet.
Yeah.
Like,
it helps you keep that endurance over those long meets.
Yeah, I like honestly throughout the meet, like I mean, I probably do like 4,000 yards a day, like like, with warm up, and then like I'll probably like my race will be 100 or whatever, but then afterwards, like warm down, probably around a 2,000 there, and then 2,000 the afternoon. Like I come out of the meet like in great shape usually.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I was in really good shape after SECs this year, and like that really did help me like continue to go down and taper for. Well, first we got back into it, raised the bar up a little bit, before NCs, and then we brought it down back again. But like, I really think that, just being able to manage your energy and, like just recovering in between those sessions is just so important. And those dual meets to which like, you're doing a lot of events back to back and like, it's tough, it sucks, you feel horrible. like that really does help you
Yeah.
in collegiate swimming.
Like it's basic math of if you can manage your energy through
Yeah.
5 or 6 events over a 2 hour dual meet, you
Yeah.
can manage your energy over 5 or 6 events over a 5 day meet.
Yeah. Like, luckily, you're not usually doing 5 or 6 events,
Yeah.
especially for, well, actually,
My coach might have just been
eh,
crazy.
maybe. You know what? Yeah. Actually, I misspoke. People do 5 or 6 events.
I think the worst I did was like 4
Yeah.
IM, 2 breast, 500, and I think I did like the 2 fly as well, and then like 3 relays.
Oh my God, your coach was. Jeez, what'd you do?
Well, see, as a distance swimmer, I generally got to choose. Like, he would put me in the mile and the 4 IM because those were the ones I wanted to do because I'm an idiot. And then I generally got to choose, and then he'd pick a 200 for me to do on the last day. So it had its perks, you know.
He'd pick like the 200 fly for you.
I did do the 2 fly at my last meet. I did the mile, 2 fly, and 4 IM.
Ugh, that 2 fly.
We were only gonna swim the 400 IM once, because there's a rule. I'm not sure if it's in NCAA's, but there's a rule for at least like California community colleges that if every athlete agrees to it, an event can be swum just in finals as a timed final, and anybody can place anywhere. Like you could be in the second heat and you could place top 3, or you
Oh,
could
that's
be
nice.
last. Yeah. So West Valley College, I'm sure you've heard of them. This is a
Yeah.
tangent. They are mostly just water polo players.
Yeah.
So they'd put their guys in the 400 IM to try to score some points. But a
Mm-hmm.
lot of them haven't swam it before, or have only swam it once or twice. So my coach put us in the 400 IM, and I think I was seated 9th.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "We're going to request to swim it twice." And I think it was like 3 of the 4 West Valley swimmers got DQ'd. And I think it moved me up to like 6th seed in the final. So I made a final, and we got 3 of our like closest opponents DQ'd.
Okay, there you go. I mean, like swimming a 400 IM twice, like, nah, but like
It's terrible. I added in finals by like 10 seconds. It's terrible.
That's true. At least you got the points.
Yeah. Oh my god, like our women's team, this is again another tangent. Our women's team that year had, I think, 8 swimmers.
Yeah.
And they got second in the meet. I mean, West Valley was like 300
No
points
way.
ahead of them. They weren't going to catch them.
Yeah.
But they got second in the meet, and they were, I think, 11 points ahead of the third place team. And the third place team had like 15, 16 swimmers. And it was
way.
because we had people who were seated like 9th or 10th move up to
Yeah.
7th or 8th. We
Yeah.
had everybody moved up, and everybody made at least one A final, and it ended up barely making the difference. That like when they got out touched on the relay, like that was the difference maker that they got second.
Yeah. No, it's like those points, just like getting in there, moving up spots,
Yeah.
like that counts. And
Yeah.
like especially in college swimming, it's like, oh man, like I had a whatever swim, da 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 da. But like if you can move up, that's awesome. Like if you can like get those points, that's great. Because what it comes down to is just racing, and like they've said it before. Like our coaches have said it before. Like in dual meets, like times really don't matter that much.
No, it's
more
the
about-
positions and it's where you finish.
Exactly. It's more about those like just racing and like just trying to get your hand on the wall before the person next to you.
And like there was a conversation that I overheard like when I was a few years ago when I was swimming
Yeah.
that really pissed me off, and it was like one of my teammates half jokingly being like, "Why do we even need like why don't we only just have top 3 people swim in every event?" And it's like that mindset really angers me.
Yeah.
I mean, think about like Virginia, who's probably going to win a 5th NCAA title at this point. Yeah, they have Alex Walsh. Yeah, they have Gretchen Walsh. They had Kate Douglas. Now they're going to have Claire Curzan. Like, they've got all these really, really good swimmers. But, like, they would not be the dynasty that they are without, like, Jasmine Nocentini or Ella Nelson or Emma Weber. like all of these swimmers who kind of flown under the radar. I mean, Emma Weber's an Olympian now, so she's not really flying under the radar anymore. But I think people discount how important those third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, even like down to 16th, how important those finishes are.
Yeah, you know what's crazy is that you can win NC2As if you win every relay and you don't even have to score in any other event. Like
Cal did something like that, actually. The Cal men's team,
yeah,
in 2023 or 2, they won NCAAs, and I think they had like 2 people win an NCAA title.
yeah,
Hold on, I will fact check myself.
yes,
It was 2023 where they won, and it was Destin Lasco won the 200 back,
yeah,
and that was it.
yeah,
They had like top 3 finishes in most of the relays, but Destin Lasco winning the 200 back was their only individual win.
yeah.
And they won the meet by 52 points.
Yeah, that's a solid win, too.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. Just to be able to win, like, you know, like relays are so critically important for swimming. And like the meets itself, like it really does come down to those relays. Like
It comes down to those relays, and it comes down to those people that you can rely on to just be in the makes and be in that conversation to get a top 3 spot or a top 8 spot. Like, like I interviewed Owen McDonald a few months ago, and he's one of those guys for ASU who, like, he was 3rd in the 2 back. He was, I think, like, he was 2nd in the 200 IM. Like, he was never top of the pack. Like, people were talking about Leon Marchand, Hubert Koch, like, all these guys. But people do not give credit to those people on the team who can just be relied on to get a spot in the final.
No, that's honestly like those people are like kind of like the unsung heroes of the team.
Yeah.
Like,
because they're the building blocks. Like, you've got the people who are scoring 60 points outright at NCAAs who are winning all their events. But you cannot build a team off of just a Leon Marchand.
No, like, I mean, honestly, like, I think back to, like, people who, you know, especially, like, those older girls who I grew up swimming with, or not grew up, sorry, but who I swam with, like, you know, my freshman and coming up those, like, sophomore years on Bama, like, I'd always look up to them because, like, they were just always such good racers to the point to which, you know, like, hey, maybe the meet's not going that great, they're tired, whatever, but like Ryan White's gonna get into that final. You know, like Kenzie's gonna get in and, you know, get into that final and score really good points. You know, like Kat Wright's gonna like get in there and swim really well too. Like, you've got these foundational people on the team, and like you know, I think like there's a trick to not always just like rely on those people, but also like learn from them and like learn how do you become, you know, like one of those people who's just like so mentally locked in and like always just gonna get in there and score points no matter what. And like, you know, you don't have to be like the top person on team, but like if you are able to score in 3 events, that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, like, ASU last year, they got 2nd in the meet, and they had, like, guys at the top, like a Leon Marchand or, like, Hubert Koch winning events. But the reason they won this year was those people who were getting those 2nd, 3rd, 4th place finishes. They would not have been able to do it without them.
No, like, the superstars of the team are great. Like, they score you so many points. That's awesome. But yeah, those people who can get in and like just fight it out and get those points are so critical and so important. And I think like a lot of times, you know, like we overlook them in swimming, and like that's just something that, you know, we need to really value. And like that's a big deal to get points. Like that's the big deal to score in the A final at your conference meet at NCs. Like that's really great.
You know, the women's team for my community college this year at their conference meet, they got 3rd by 1 point. behind the team that they beat a year ago.
Oh.
And like my girlfriend got DQ'd in the 4IM,
Yeah.
but there was like somebody got DQ'd in the 2 bag. Like there was so many different ways to stack it where it was no one's fault,
Yeah.
but it was just a funny turn of events that like they went from beating them by like 10 points to winning by 1 point.
Oh my gosh.
Or to losing by 1 point.
Oh, that sucks. That's just like, I know. I've been there. Like,
Yeah.
like Auburn's our big rivalry, and like last two or my freshman and sophomore year we beat them, and then my junior year, unfortunately, they got the better of us.
They've been building up. They've been like they had like a dip for a few years, but they've been steadily building back up to be a powerhouse team.
No, they've been really good this year, and like these past 2 years, like they were really tough to beat. But no, I know it's just like it's just so close. It just didn't happen. But it's okay. Like, we'll see them this year. We'll see what happens.
This kind of leads me into my last question, like fairly, like it's a pretty good segue here. What does being on a team mean to you? And in your opinion, people talk about is swimming an individual or a team sport, and my standing is that it's a bit of both. Like, I think it's a team sport in that you've got people around you who are working towards like-minded goals, but it's an individual sport in that the effort that you put in will directly correlate to the results that you get. So I'm wondering what your opinion on that is.
Oh yeah, no, I really agree with that that opinion on it. I think, especially like growing up, club swimming is a lot different than college swimming. And like, club swimming I feel like is definitely a lot more on the individual side because there isn't that level of accountability between you and your teammates. And once you get to college, like the relationships, the impact that everyone has on that team is a lot more dramatic in the way that it affects you. And not only like, you're standing as a team, but also like people have a large effect on other people's demeanor and like the results and how they do. Like you can either lift people up or you can drag them down. And like when you're on a college team, it's really important to help people rise and to help elevate your teammates. And like I think like once you get to college, especially swimming, like, yes, it is an individual sport. Like the things that you do for yourself will impact your results. And you are ultimately the one person who's in charge of how you swim a race. If you dive in, I don't know. Like if you decide to, keep going, or you could just, be swimming that 1650 and just say, you know what, I'm gonna call it a 1600 right here. I'm gonna be done.
I did that where I swam the 1650 and I finished and I heard people yelling go go go, and it wasn't to me, but in my head I'm like, okay, screw it, just in case, and I did another 50.
Oh my gosh,
I didn't have to.
You didn't have to.
I didn't have to.
You're like, oh no, I don't want this.
I'm like, on the off chance
that I miscounted.
Yeah.
Trying to make this up. No, I totally get that. That's I mean, but yeah, like once you get to college, like it's insane the impact that your teammates can have on you.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, obviously, not everyone's always going to have a perfect meet. Not everyone's always going to have a great practice. But like, if your teammates can get behind you, and especially for me, like I respond a lot better to like positive feedback and, motivation rather than someone just getting in my face and yelling at me. But like, just like if I can have support from my teammates and they'll be like, hey, come on, you got this. Like one more, we got this. We can do this. Like that's really going to help me. And it's going to help me also just rise to another level myself within my training. And then also, at the meets, like the group demeanor is so important.
Oh yeah.
And like, I mean, this, like if you approach a meet and everyone's going wild and like, you're having fun, like you're gonna swim fast. But if you're there and it's like, oh man, like we're getting beat right now, this sucks. Like no one's really happy. It's kind of like kind of forced, cheering or whatever. Like that's not gonna help anyone. But just, being in there and being energetic, being excited for your teammates is like, I think, a really important point of which the individual and team sport collide.
That's such a great way to put it. Like swimming is neither an individual or a team sport. Like it is both.
Yeah.
There's aspects of it that are either title, but it is at its core something where it's significantly easier to be successful in swimming if you have a team around you.
Exactly.
Like Team USA has always been so unique to me in that like
Yeah.
almost everybody who swims on the US Olympic team swam in a college team at some point.
Yeah.
Like, and you learn to have that bond with people and to be able to build that bond quickly because there's like 5 weeks between trials and the Olympics. Like they build that bond quickly and it becomes like a lifetime friendship that you have.
Oh, totally. Like that's so cool. And like a lot of times, those people grew up like racing each other,
Yeah.
or seeing each other at different meets, or even in college, like like they might be rivals, and just to be on the team together, to be supporting each other and like able to just unite and have that same level of energy and enthusiasm for your teammates, to develop that in a short amount of time is honestly, it's really incredible. But it's definitely something that I feel like we're more attuned to than other countries, which is super cool.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I was reminded of a story when you were talking about like those meets where the team demeanor isn't great or isn't like, and something happens where it picks everybody up. There was a meet that we went to in typical California spring weather where it's pouring rain.
Yeah.
And people were kind of grumpy. Nobody was really having a good time. And the men's 400 free relay was going. And there was a guy on the team. I won't name him in case he's watching this, so he doesn't come like beat me up. But he was like the goofball of the team. Like we'd go to like team dinner and he'd just go to Costco and buy 12 hot dogs and eat all of them. And his metabolism would let him because he's built like a twig.
Yeah.
Dove in for going third on the 400 free relay, and I'm talking to my coach, and he's like, "Where's so and so's suit? Like, is he wearing the white swimsuit or something? Because he has like a white tech suit." And we're like, "No, I think he was wearing his red Speedo." And he flips for the last lap, and he comes up, and his butt is just fully out of the water.
Oh my
It
God.
fell off mid-race. And he still swam it. I don't know. He still swam the 100. He still split like 46 or something. But like, I want to be in the brain of the guy who flipped next to him and made perfect eye contact with him and had to still finish his race. Or like my teammate who's up on the blocks and has to compose himself enough to swim the anchor leg. But it completely changed the team to me. Like, everybody was having so much fun after that. And this is a guy who would 100% own it. Like, he launched himself out of the water. Like, he was not shy about it.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Like, he is one of the few people where if that happened to him, he'd fully own it.
Wow.
And just make it as funny as possible.
Oh my God.
But it completely changed. Like, everybody was having so much more fun after that.
Yeah, you need those moments. Where it's like, I mean, obviously, ideally, everyone's suits stay on. But just like having those moments with your team is
Oh my God, it was so funny. We have never let him live it down. Like, we got on the team bus after the meet.
Yeah.
And my coach was like, the guy who it happened to was like, "Oh my God, the water was so cold." And my coach was like, "Yeah, I bet it was." And I was the only person who started laughing. Just like, I mean, like it happened like Nathan Adrian at a meet, like his suit split in half,
Oh my god.
and he swam. But it's like, I want to talk to the person who was next to him in that lane.
That's crazy. I mean, we've had this guy on my team, like, he's graduated now, but I think it happened to him like 2 or 3 times this season. Or, not this season, but the past season.
Yeah.
Bend down on the blocks to take his mark, and his suit would rip. It was just like clockwork. And then, like, you'd see him just bolt to the bathroom, like, change. Like,
Would he still swim the race?
Yeah. Well, he'd change right out. Well, actually, I think they'd pause the event for him. Because, like, you know, the officials would see it happen and be like, whoa.
They're like, hold on.
Hold on 1 second here. And, like, you know, someone would toss him a suit. He'd run to the locker room and just, you know, throw on a new suit.
That's so funny.
It was so funny because it happened like 2 or 3 times, which is, like, weird for that, you know, to happen so much. But
Oh my
yeah,
god.
no, it was awesome. It was...
We've crossed over the 2-hour mark, by the way.
We have.
We're at 2 hours and 9 minutes. The final cut of this will likely be over 2 hours, which is just crazy to me. I've never had a video be this long.
Feel free to cut out whatever.
I don't know, I know there's people who leave in just like the question and answer, but I'm like, I have fun here. It's not a professional like production here. We're just having a good time.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, I think I definitely didn't answer all your questions fully either.
No, you
so
did.
I apologize for that.
No, you're good. They're more of like, I never write them as like it has to be a strict question and answer. I mean, I've had some people where it has been more of a question and answer just because either like the energy hasn't been on the same wavelength or like we didn't connect very well. But like they're more of like a baseline for conversation more than anything. I mean, like when I interviewed like Zaylin Sarkani, we spent half of the interview talking about Game of Thrones.
Really?
Like, literally, the first, like, 5 minutes of the video that I posted with him last week, before I even do my intro and everything, is just us talking about, like, the new season of House of the Dragon.
Oh, I just started watching that.
I'm season 1 or season 2?
Season 1.
It's so good.
It's so
oh my
good.
god.
Oh my gosh. Like, okay, I was not expecting it to be that good, especially after Game of Thrones. That's a hard one to, like, follow up.
The fall off of Game of Thrones needs to be studied.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that final episode, oh my gosh, what was that? Like,
oh my god, like the final like 3 seasons, I'm like, it just went from like slow drop to like just free falling off a cliff.
Yeah,
it was insane.
It was not fair. It was not fair, especially like for how much time, like, you know, you'd have to donate to watch that.
Yeah.
Entire thing. Like, it was not a fair end to the season. So I'm still mad about that one.
House of the Dragon, like,
yeah.
Oh my god, there's a scene when you get to, I think it's episode 8.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spoil anything for you because it's amazing, but episode 8, I need you to tell me your reaction. You'll know the scene. You'll know the scene, like...
Episode 8 of season 1?
Yeah, it is like my favorite scene between both shows. But right now, at least, I would put House of the Dragon above the best of Game of Thrones.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Just based off of everything so far. I mean, the best of Game of Thrones is so good.
It's so good. Especially, like, it's so hard to balance all those different, like, stories and plot lines and, like...
House of the Dragon's, like, more singularly focused. Like, there's less going on.
Yeah. Which, honestly, I kind of like, because I'm able to really, like...
It's a singular story. I mean, there's, like, some side plots.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so episode 2...
Did
they do, like, the hunt yet? No, that's episode... Never mind. Forget I said that. I said that.
It's a race. No, she just confronted her uncle and took back the... For anyone watching, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know.
It came out 2 years ago.
Okay, that's fair. But, you know, like, when she got back the egg and... then
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and then her father is now going to marry her friend.
Okay,
Like,
so there's musical cues in that show.
yeah.
This is the level, because I was an orchestra, this is the level of nerd that I reached to.
Okay.
If you go back and if you listen to, like, Viserys' theme,
Yeah.
right? Anytime he's on screen and there's, like, the motif that plays for him, it goes
Yeah.
like, da 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 da. Listen to that, and then listen to the King's Arrival soundtrack from Game of Thrones. Like
Oh.
when Robert is arriving in like the very first episode, it
Yeah.
goes da 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 da. Like the way they reuse
Oh.
motifs for different things. Sorry, I'm going
No, I
way
love
off track
it.
here. But like Ramin Djawadi, the guy who's the composer for both shows, he reuses motifs from Game of Thrones or creates new ones for House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
Like I think it's in episode 3, you'll hear Rhaenyra's motif,
Yeah.
and it's like a lightly or like a haunting motif, like a
Yeah.
little bit of of like operatic voices in there.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know, I just get so much more enjoyment out of like these types of shows when the
Oh my God.
composers are able to like tell a story with the music.
Oh no, it's so cool. Like, and also I love Rhaenyra. She's like my favorite character. It's like it's so cool.
You know about the time jumps, yeah?
The time, yeah. Well, it started off with a time jump, right? Because it showed
Yeah.
Rhaenys.
I mean, I don't necessarily count it as a spoiler because it's like in the trailers.
It's like the queen got rejected, and then it jumps to
Oh no, there's time jumps within the season itself.
oh, okay.
Which I don't know if that's I don't know if that's a
After Mother
spoiler.
died, there is like a 6 month time jump, right?
Yeah. There's gonna be
Okay.
another one, and then there's gonna be like a 15-year time jump.
Oh boy.
So the actresses that you're seeing right now for Rhaenyra and Alicent, again, I'm sorry if this is a spoiler.
They're not
It's-
gonna be the same.
I don't think it's a spoiler because it's in the trailers.
Yeah.
Um,
Are they gonna bring that the same one that was Daenerys?
no, this is like 200 years before
Okay.
she was alive.
Yeah, but I don't know.
But
It'd be
the
kinda cool.
actresses that they get to replace Rhaenyra and Alicent's characters are really, really good.
Really?
Like they're both pairs are so good, but it's like
Yeah.
they found the perfect like older versions of these actresses.
That's awesome. I love when they can do it like really well.
Yeah,
Because a
like
lot of times
there's
yeah.
no real like you see them and you're like, oh, I know who that is, even though they don't like say their name.
Yeah. That's so cool though. That's awesome. I'm so excited to keep
You gotta tell me when you get to episode 8, like you'll know the scene.
Oh my gosh.
You'll know it like gives me chills every time because it is like being as vague as possible. It is an incredibly simple event happening, but it is framed like the biggest victory in the show.
Oh my gosh.
Like it is a very simple event that's happening on screen, but you'll know like
Yeah.
it has huge implications for the whole show. That's about as vague as I can be without spoiling anything.
Okay. Is she gonna actually no run. I don't
I'm not even gonna say what character it involves. It's just I watch that scene like all the time.
You're just like, cinematic masterpiece.
The music is insane. My God, Ramin Djawadi's music is.
I know. It's so good. It's just
He's so good at what he does.
I know, and I love how they've reused that same like theme music at the end of the episode. It's almost like it's almost kind of poetic because like, you know, the ending of the episode is the same theme music for the beginning of the next like Game of Thrones series. So it's almost kind of like cool because it's like connecting them, you know.
If you go back and listen to the soundtrack at the very beginning of the show, when it's actually I think it's adult Rhaenyra who does the narration at the very beginning of the show.
Oh, really?
I think so. It might be Rhaenys's actress, but I think it's adult Rhaenyra who does the narration at the beginning of the show, like the very first episode. But if you go back and listen to that soundtrack, they mix like the King's Arrival theme from like Game of Thrones
Yeah.
with the Game of Thrones theme.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy what he does with the soundtrack. It's not fair.
That's so cool. My gosh. I love it. Just such a masterpiece.
Yeah. Oh my, like I don't know who said it. Like one of my friends said it, but it's like the best shots in Game of Thrones, like the best camera angles and the best scenes in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Those happen like 4 times an episode in House of the Dragon.
Oh.
Like every shot is like, this is a masterpiece.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Like my favorite moment so far in that series is just when Rhaenyra flies in on the dragon.
Yeah.
And it's just like she just walks through like all these, like soldiers and then just takes the egg from her uncle. Like that's just so
There are gonna be implications from that scene.
Oh, I'm sure there will be. I'm sure that there's gonna be
I think it's episode 3 or 4. There are strong implications from that scene.
Well, also too, like, going back to like the Game of Thrones that, like the Mad King, like,
Yeah.
like they've mentioned that there's like centuries of, like just kind of like inbreeding like with that family.
Yeah. There'll be more, don't worry.
Yeah.
It's the Targaryen family. There will be more.
Yeah, no, the Targaryen.
That's not a spoiler. It's a foregone conclusion.
I know. I think like, well, my thoughts currently of what's going to happen is I'm betting that the uncle is somehow going to work his way to be able to marry Rhaenyra so that he can be the king and sit on the Iron Throne. Because currently, she is what's in his way.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Obviously, that's probably not going to happen.
I can neither confirm nor deny anything.
I know. I don't know. I'm so excited to like keep watching it.
It is so good.
It
like,
really is.
he doesn't show how good of an. I mean, he's a good actor, but he doesn't show it yet. Yeah. But Reese Fans, the guy who plays Otto Hightower,
yeah. Oh my god.
He gets some serious scenes to like flex his acting skills later on.
Yeah. No, that guy. He's
particularly a conversation that he has with Allison in episode 5, I think.
Okay.
He really gets to flex his acting skills.
Yeah. No, I remember when I think it was episode 2 or 3 or 1 or 2 when he sent Allison to like go to the king.
Yeah.
I was like just so like disturbed.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. Like you did a great job of
like, man, you're sending your daughter to try to like.
Yeah. Ugh.
I love they do it a lot in House of the Dragon, but I love like they'll do it again. Where they'll juxtapose like a scene of somebody like when Emma is giving birth, or when she's being.
Oh my gosh!
Having an involuntary C-section is what we'll call it.
That was, I think, one of the most disturbing scenes in the Game of Thrones franchise.
Oh yeah, and what a way to kick off your first episode!
I was like, whoa.
But they juxtapose that with like the tourney that's happening. They'll do that a lot.
Yeah.
Like that's a method they'll use a lot to like show the connection between like. I think she literally says in episode 1 to Rhaenyra, she's like, carrying children or giving birth is our battlefield.
Yeah, like your womb is like your battlefield.
Yeah, and then they juxtapose her giving birth to like the men fighting. Like it's an interesting way to show like
the brutality.
Yeah.
Of, like the birth and like
and a little bit of the sexism of like that's all women are seen as being capable of.
Exactly. And it's also too like interesting with not only like the sexism of like seeing that as how women are, or of seeing like seeing women as that role, but also like once it came time to it, like the king has no more heirs.
Yeah.
Rhaenyra is like kind of like that last option. versus her brother. And it's like, okay, do we take this crazy, like, murderous guy, or do we finally, like, say, okay, a woman can be the heir for now until the king makes more heirs?
Damon's characterization, too,
Yeah.
gets really, really good. Because, I'm trying to think of how much I can say with where you're at. You finished episode 2.
Yeah, he was with his, I guess we should call her his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I like his line, because I think he says that at the end of episode 2, maybe 3,
Yeah.
where he yells, 10 years you've been king, and never once have you asked me to be your hand.
Yeah.
Has he done that yet?
Yeah, he's done that. Yeah, he's done that.
It's a very important line. Because in my mind, when I was watching at that point...
I think I know what you're getting at.
In my mind, where I was watching at that point, it was more of like, he just wants his brother's attention and his brother to love him. Mm-hmm. And him doing the things that he does is a method of acting out to try to get that attention. Like that, and like with just the context of those first 2 episodes, that was what I got out of that line. Totally. Was he's never wanted to be king. No. He just wanted his brother to love him.
Exactly. You know what else interesting about that line too is at that same time, do you remember the king's like finger, his hand is starting to like rot. Yeah. He has some sort of like sepsis or I don't know what he has, but like
the side effects of sitting on a throne of swords.
Yeah. And like his hand, like first it was his back from the throne or whatever, but now it's his hand. I wonder if that is also, making the connection that Otto there
will be like, I mean, it's already happened. There will be like correlation between stuff that Viserys is going through and like the injuries that he takes.
Yeah, and what's happening in his life.
Like there's more, they do more with that like that line that Daemon has isn't the only line that shows how much he really just wants his brother to like recognize him.
Yeah. That's such a...
It's so good. The character work that they do. There are things that I'm not telling you because it's like major spoilers. But that like the character work they do is some of the greatest character. It's better than Game of Thrones.
Yeah. No, it's so far it's been so good, and it's just such a like.
And I mean, they don't have like really a book to go off of. Like they don't like. I have all 5 Game of Thrones books sitting like within arm's reach of me. Like they don't have the book to go off of.
No.
Like the original Fire and Blood book that Game of Thrones that House of the Dragon is based off of is more of like a historical text. It's basically a textbook, like a history textbook set within Westeros.
Yeah.
They make up a lot of stuff. Like Alicent and Rhaenyra in the book, Alicent is older than her. They're not friends.
Oh.
So making them the same age and building that friendship between them is like a stroke of genius. Because it builds up their conflict more and it builds up the dynamic between them more.
Yeah.
Like there are little things like that they change. And I think they age up both of them too. They make them like 16, whereas they were like...
Yeah.
I don't remember how old they were.
Very young, probably. Like or something.
So they do a lot with those connections. And they do a lot of small changes that make it way more personal than it is in the book. Which is cool, because I mean, like, Benioff and Weiss couldn't even adapt. Actually, that's not true. They ran out of books.
Yeah, that's true. They
ran out of books. I can't really blame them too much for that one. But they could have tried.
Yeah, they could have given it their best.
Having Jaime say that he never really cared about innocent people, like...
Oh my gosh.
Having him... That's, like, irreversible damage. I could, like, feel the actor's pain in saying that line.
I know. That was... Just... The relationships and the complexities between them.
It became so much simpler. It became, like, the only 3 locations were, like, King's Landing... and Winterfell and, like, the Wall. That was the only locations that existed. And whereas before it was like, oh, it'd take us months to get here. Like, episodes are spent on just getting us to a second location. became,
Yeah.
alright, I'm gonna fly from Dragonstone to the Wall and back to Dragonstone in one episode because the Avengers need help fighting off the zombies.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like how did that happen? Like how did these time jumps
That
happen?
was the moment where I'm like, oh, the show's getting bad. Oh,
Like
we've lost the plot here.
the money's running dry.
Yeah. I mean, like, the last scene, I think, in Game of Thrones, where I was like, this is truly a great scene, was in the Winds of Winter, like, the Light of the Seven thing, where, like, Cersei just blows up, where they just kill off, like, 5 or 6 main characters.
Yeah.
But then there was no fallout from that. Like, she should have seen some fallout from, like, killing an entire line of people.
Yeah. Okay, come on. How dumb are we here? Like, I mean, and she was not like she was always a very like methodical, plotting
Yeah.
person, and it didn't make sense for that to happen. You
But,
know?
like, I don't necessarily have a problem with it happening. I have a problem with, like, that there was no, like,
like
there was no
like,
fallout of the, like, the results of that.
yeah, like I mean, it was just kind of like, okay, I mean, I guess all right, do this, but
Yeah.
like, yeah, especially like when you compare something like the Red Wedding or whatever, like the ramifications after that
Were huge.
yeah.
Like, the fact that they did it with Ned Stark, the fact that you wiped out basically the show's main character. Like,
Yeah.
you build him up to be, like, the biggest character on the show, and then
Exactly.
you kill him. Getting away with that once is amazing in itself. But then
Yeah.
to do that for 2 seasons with Robb Stark, and then to just kill him, is, like, insane that they were able to pull that off. And there were ramifications of that. Like, Joffrey died 2 episodes later.
Yeah.
Like, there were ramifications of that happening. It was not a...
No, it was not like a you can just do this and be done.
Yeah. But I will forever be sad that we didn't get more of Oberyn Martell.
No, I am too. He was
Like,
good.
Pedro Pascal, like,
Oh my god.
yeah, he's good in The Mandalorian, but he is better in Game of Thrones and The Last of Us.
Oh my gosh, he was so good. Like that was
The fall off of The Mandalorian needs to be studied, too.
yeah. No, that not even gonna get into that one.
See, Star Wars in general is... Have you been watching The Acolyte?
No, I haven't. I'm not. I like honestly, I
It's
get
bad.
exhausted with all of these like, subplots, prequels, like
It's so bad. Like, it is... I was willing to give it a chance because it seemed like most of the hate that was coming to it, like if you looked at the trailers and like YouTube comments, people were complaining that it was woke or that it was like the leftist agenda, and I'm like, just because there is black people or Asian people in your Star Wars does not make it woke. Like, this is a world where aliens exist. Like, who cares that there's an Asian person? I care that it's a good show. And it's like, it's not a good show. The actors are doing their best, but it is not a good show.
they're trying, but it's just
Like, it's
not like
actors that I like, too. Like, Manny Jacinto's in the show, and he's in The Good Place, and I love him in that.
yeah.
And he's actually really good in the show. Like, he does a really good job. But it just is not
Just
good.
the show itself is just
I also hate when, like, female writers or directors are, like, groups that typically are in minorities in the film industry, when they come out and they're like, this is like, men wouldn't understand this show, like, or like, stuff like that. I feel like that makes me sound sexist, but I mean it more as like, I don't like when the only defense you have for your show is, oh, if you don't like it, you're sexist. Or if you don't like it, you're racist. Like in the Obi-Wan show when there was, what's her name? The black woman, what's her character? I don't know. But where she was in the show and she didn't really have any reason to be there.
Yeah.
And it's like somebody called me racist for saying that she shouldn't have been in the show. And I'm like, the show was called Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, when they were focusing on someone, on a different character, it's not racist if I don't like the character. I'm not going after the actress personally.
No, and it's just like, like,
Like, that shouldn't be your only defense if somebody doesn't like the show or the movie, is that they're racist or that they're sexist. We've lost the plot of this so badly. Like, we're off on so many tangents right now. Because it's like, there are excellent, well-written shows that are made by women or made by Asian people or made by black people.
Yeah.
And no one says anything because they're just good shows.
Oh, no, totally. Totally. Like, Beef, great show.
Oh my god, it's so good.
That was
like
masterpiece right
yeah.
there.
I mean, like, The Good Place is a show that like, the main cast is, like, a Middle Eastern woman, a black man, and an Asian man. Are like, the main cast is non-white people, for the most part.
Yeah.
And no one says anything about it because it's just a good show.
The Good Place is a great show.
I mean, like, you'll always have people who are making comments on, like, an actor's race or ethnicity or anything.
Yeah.
But it's like, if the show's good, no one will care.
No, or something like Bridgerton.
Yeah.
That's been great. And, like, you know, like, you have people, like, you know, portraying roles that traditionally or historically, like, would not have happened. But, like, I think it's great. Like,
I mean, even, like, House of the Dragon, like, Corlys Velaryon, I don't know if you've met him yet.
Yeah.
He's black, and people complained about that at first. Like, when the trailers came out, people were complaining. And then as soon as the show dropped, nobody was complaining anymore. Which it shouldn't be like that. There shouldn't be that standard of, like, you have to be a really good actor, or you have to be exceptionally better than everybody else if you're in a minority. Yeah, but it's like, when the performance speaks for itself, there is less room for people to come in and complain about petty, stupid things.
Exactly. And, like, yeah. Like, they don't need to complain about something. It's a made-up show in a made-up land.
Especially in, like, Star Wars. I'm like, you don't have a problem with, like, a Wookiee making grunting noises, but you have a problem when somebody has darker skin than you?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like, okay, like, House of the Dragon. We have people riding on dragons.
Yeah, like, who cares that Corlys Velaryon is black? He's the coolest character in the show.
No, literally, that guy's awesome.
Like, when your nickname is the Sea Snake, you don't have to prove anything to everybody. You're just cool.
No, he's awesome. Like, he's so cool. And also, like, I don't know. I think, like, the white dreads look so cool.
They do. Like, they're really cool. Everybody in the show gets to flex their acting, but he gets to flex his acting really well.
Yeah, no, he looks super cool. Like, they're awesome. Like, they're really good actors in that show.
I just get, like, so upset when people immediately discount a show because the cast isn't white. And I'm like, I don't care what ethnicity or what race or what gender anybody. I care that the show is good.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it comes down to. Is the show good? Yes. Okay. Now
then it doesn't matter who's playing what character.
No,
I mean, it is nice to see, like, it does make me happy that, like, when people are getting opportunities, or when there's stories, like, there's a movie I watched called American Fiction that was about an author who's trying to write stories that aren't, like, the stereotypical black stories.
Yeah.
And when he does that as a joke, it ends up making him millions of dollars, and that's the commentary of the movie, is that there is that double standard of, like, people are kind of racist. I don't know. Like, very good movie. But, like, they're, like, those stories are important, but sometimes it's just nice to see, like, as a Middle Eastern person, I get excited when I see Middle Eastern people in a movie portrayed in a positive way.
Oh, totally. I can imagine that's hard, too. Like, especially growing up and, you know, like, the movies and media that you're consuming don't have people that necessarily look like you. It's difficult. And also, like, you know, sometimes when they're not in roles that are really positive.
Middle Eastern people are not all terrorists. Like, I understood why people loved Black Panther when the Ms. Marvel show came out. Because I'm like, it is cool to see my culture represented in a positive way in a big budget production. Like, I understood why people loved, like, why those stories are important when I was represented in one of them.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. No, I bet. That's really cool, though.
We've been recording for 2 hours and 40 minutes. I am gonna let you go.
Okay.
This was a lot of fun, though.